what? Oh yes, it's going to be a part of one of the series for sure. So it's setting up the meeting to go live. Um, I don't understand why it would not show it the way I wanted to show it on YouTube. It only shows my name and yours. It does not show any, which is really weird. It does not show our pictures. It just shows our names. But you know what? I can download this later and fix all that and add, names and all that stuff the way I would like it to look another time.
Mhm.
Uh, yeah. Do you oh, that's you. Okay, I was gonna say, do you hear that video? It says welcome to live chat. Um,
I did not hear that.
okay, so I have the window up so I can kind of check the chats as they come in. And then of course I'll download this and add some pretty pictures and repost it and re-upload it later on. So yeah,
Yes,
so let's see. Where do you think we should go ahead and give a disclaimer or something first, or just jump right into it, right into the
it
topic?
might be a good idea.
What'd you say?
A disclaimer. I said a disclaimer might be a good idea.
Okay. So this is Darling Nikki. You're listening to Darling Nikki. And one of my bestest, Madonna Magdalena is in the house. We are going to break down a recording that I did. Um, it was not a secret. I made it as obvious as I could, and I will say that I did have the legal right to do this when I was where I was. But this is a recording that you're going to hear of someone that I dated who was a narcissistic abuser. He almost killed me. And I was watching a video that Paris Milan put out. Shout out to people like her that I've been listening to a long time that will expose the truth. And not allow these dangerous ex-wives to hide behind the privilege of patriarchy. There is a dust bucket that works somewhere with NASA right now that was getting a lot of positive press and making it seem like he's this positive male, brown male image. However, so often the case is with a lot of these guys, not all, but a lot of them, that they are a bunch of cowardly lions putting their hands on females and being disgusting creatures behind closed doors, but then being lauded in public for being these, so-called positive people. And I was watching this, and I was watching her expose, and other people across the world get exposed as well. But this particular person, his name is Tyrone and works for NASA. And it reminded me of a time several years ago where I decided to get the courage to take my iPhone out and start recording this monster that had been putting his hands on me, that had almost killed me, that tried to kill me, that broke my jaw in two places. But everyone publicly said, I'm still his fan. What did you do? There's got to be something wrong. Somehow my jaw got broke on both sides by accident. It must have been an accident. He's such a good guy. He loves you. Um, as you all know, I have a series that I just started dropping called Addicted to Monsters. So, in that vein, several chapters down the road, we're going to talk more about this sucker, um, who goes by the name DJ D. Chappelle, no relation to the actual comedian Chappelle. Um, we're gonna let you listen to him and listen to the real him that people don't get to hear on the radio today. I've got my girlfriend with me, Madonna Magdalena, because we are going to do something that I didn't have the strength, and maybe I had the good sense to not do in that moment. We're going to talk back to it today, and we're going to analyze some things. And she's my partner in crime with this, with breaking it down. And in those moments, if I wanted to walk away with my life, I had to stop talking back. Um, so I didn't get to do it then, so I'm going to do it now. I'm going to do it now.
That
All
season is
right.
officially over.
What'd you say?
I said that season is officially over.
That season, yes.
The
Yep.
season of
So
not
the
talking
first thing
back.
that I'm, that's right. That's right. Yeah, yeah. Tell them about that, sis. The season of not talking back is officially over. So I think that Magdalena is in a place where she may not. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I was totally nodding like you could see me nodding.
Nope, I can't see the head nodding. So before we play the tape, what I'm going to do is read word for word the incident as I recalled it when I decided to work up the courage days later and file a restraining order. I'm doing this and I'm exposing my story, and I'm in solidarity with so many other people exposing theirs. And I'm talking about my whole story from childhood all the way up until here and later because there needs to be more awareness. There needs to be more understanding, and there needs to be no more victim blaming. The cycle of abuse needs to be something that is discussed with all of our girls and our boys. We need to be aware of what it looks like and what it does to the person who is being abused. Why there's the back and the forth, and why did you go back, or why did you give that person another chance? Why did you leave? We need to talk more about this. It'll help more people break the cycle before it's too late. Thank God I was able to, but it took me decades. Another thing that I will say is shout out to Bourbon Bougie talking about something that I've never heard before, and that is the CA to DV pipeline. That is the child abuse to domestic violence pipeline. Remember that,
Wow, I
and
did
we'll
not
talk.
even know that was a thing, but it makes
I
absolute
didn't,
sense though.
yes, I've never ever heard it put like that before, and it does make absolute sense. It took me a long time to totally get out of this cycle of abuse after abuse, man after man, because of exactly that, the CA to DV pipeline. So on September 19th, 2017, I decided that I was going to have the courage for the last time, or what I thought was going to be the last time, to tell my already proven abusive boyfriend that I was done with him, because I felt it so deep in my spirit that if I stayed with him another year, I would not make it out alive. And instead of him accepting that, he showed up at my home. And I'm going to read from my petition for protective order exactly what I wrote and said as I was recalling it, talking to the officer. So I'm going to start there, and then we're going to go into this tape. So on the date of the incident, the defendant, DeAndre Chappelle, aka DJ D Chappelle, showed up at my home unannounced. He entered my home without permission and began throwing objects at me. We terminated our relationship via telephone prior to his unauthorized entry. The defendant came to my home to argue and fight about my private Facebook messages that he read without my permission. The defendant was cursing me, calling me an emotional cheater, and yanking, pushing, and throwing me around my home. I'm going to stop here. If you guys are listening to my video series, Addicted to Monsters, you will recall a video, if you've gotten that far, where I talk about my father when he said, "You really effed up now," and what he did to me. And remember, in that video, I said, ironically, there would be another man years later who would do the same thing. That's what this is. This person, this defendant, was not the first person to put his hands on me exactly like this. The first man to ever do that to me was my father. Let me get back to my statement. So I'm going to go back and read the last sentence and go from there. The defendant was cursing me, calling me an emotional cheater, and yanking, pushing, and throwing me around my home. The defendant was also kicking and knocking things over in my home. He also was hitting doors and walls in an effort to intimidate me. I repeatedly kept yelling, "Get out of my house!" And I kept trying to push him off of me. At one point, I grabbed my landline phone. The defendant snatched the phone from my hand and threw it across the room, shattering the phone. At another point, I grabbed my iPhone. He took it from me and he led me to believe he dropped it in the toilet. He dropped it over the toilet, but then he put it in his pocket, you guys. Upon finally leaving my home, he turned around in my kitchen to face me and called me a bitch. I then stood on my kitchen chair in an effort to be eye level with him, and I responded with PAN. I don't want my video to get flagged, so I won't say the words. Pussycat, ass, in.
Ascot.
Ascot. I vaguely remember him picking me up from the chair and feeling like something struck the back of my head. I was then unconscious. All I remember was waking up on the floor on my back in another room. There was blood everywhere, and the defendant was crying and screaming, "I am sorry." He helped me to the bathroom, but did not call 911. I saw my face was cut open, and he discouraged me from seeking medical attention, offering me salt water to gargle. I insisted on going to the hospital. He insisted on only the urgent care facility. I received 9 stitches in my face and was referred to a hospital where I later learned I had a concussion and my jaw was broken in 2 places. The defendant asked me not to tell the truth. He asked me to just say that I slipped and fell on water on my hardwood floor. During the time of my medical treatment, the defendant continued to discuss the contents of my Facebook messages, offering them up as a reason for his behavior. I suffered a similar incident with the defendant October of the year prior, 2016, in which I called the police when the defendant flew into a violent rage in my home due to a disagreement. I am requesting a VPO for my children because one of my children was home during the 2016 incident. She had a cell phone of which he has been communicating with her before and on that date, and he knows that where they all attend school and daycare. That was my statement. I was told that I needed to make it as short and succinct as possible. If I could go back, I would have made it even more detailed.
Yikes, the insensitivity in that.
So that is the short of it. Anything you want to ask me? Anything you want to interject before I go into this recording?
I just think that was so insensitive. The fact that, it's like, okay, tell us what happened, but keep it short. Like,
Mhm.
no,
You know,
very,
it,
very lacking in compassion.
yeah, I remember the way that I was looked at and treated at the first and the second medical facility. When I tell you that this world does not care about Black women, they don't care about Black women's pain. We are not human in this place. When I went to the urgent care, I was not speaking because I was in so much pain and I was in shock after everything that happened. I had to beg him to take me to the urgent care. And he would only take me if I agreed that I would cover for him and lie and say it was an accident. I could not speak at all. The doctor who initially treated me kept asking me what happened, and he answered for me the entire time. I'm thinking to myself, I'm sure somebody's going to help me. I'm sure they're going to see that I am petrified. I'm sure somebody's going to call the cops. There's no way that this looks like it's okay. He stitched up my face. He was very kind of matter of fact, like, okay, you're hurt. I'm going to do something about it. And that was it. And he said, you should probably go to the hospital because I'm pretty certain your jaw is broken. But he did stitch up my face first. That
Right.
needed to happen. Hmm. When I got to the hospital, they did not separate, the nurses did not separate us. The nurses never asked him to step out of the room so they can talk to me. I was barely speaking. He was acting like everything was just fine, business as usual, taking business phone calls and everything, and, you know, telling everybody it was an accident. I was mopping. Uh, I forgot what the story was. I was mopping and I slipped, and somehow I slipped and I fell from my kitchen to, my living area, my living room area somehow. Uh, no one, no one is coming to save you, Black woman. No one is coming to save you. You have to save yourself. I still had this bit of naivety in me, thinking somebody's going to come to save me. Surely from this, I didn't speak up, and no one spoke up for me. So it got to look like everything was just some sort of an accident, and he's this caring, doting boyfriend who's so concerned about me. When I sat in the waiting room at the hospital, the entire time I was there, he was giving me his whole life story and basically lecturing me like a parent lectures a child. Like, I really didn't want to whoop your butt, however you made me, and this is what you did. That's what he was doing the whole time, telling me about how, this is a hard time of year for him. This is the time where his father died, and I shouldn't have been doing this and that, and all the things. It was basically the "you made me do this, look what you made me do to you" speech during that time. So we're going to fast forward to I want to say a month or two down the road. Um, I did file a restraining order. He did convince me to drop the restraining order because he kept begging me and crying. And I just want to show you that I'll be a better man for you. Please don't leave me. I can't handle being left. Everybody leaves me. All this stuff. I love you so much. It really was an accident, blah, blah, blah. You don't remember it the way that you're supposed to, but it really was an accident. I didn't mean you any harm. And then around this time, my grandfather passes away. So now I'm vulnerable because I'm grieving. And that's around the time that he actually got me to drop the restraining order, um, and to write a letter on his behalf, agreeing that I did not believe that there was any malice involved, or that he actually meant to do what he did, which then made me look like the crazy one. So I'm going to a therapy session, and I'm back and forth about just trying to work up the courage to be done with him. And whenever he saw me making moves that were good for me, he would always try to find a way to hijack it. So he hijacked my therapy appointment because this was I would have periods of time where I wouldn't answer his phone call, and I would try to pull away. So this was another one of those times where I'm not answering the phone, but he knows my schedule. He knows everything about me and the kids. He knows I'm at therapy. All of our stuff was synced often. And so he shows up at my therapist's office. He barges in and he hijacks that therapy appointment. So that's what you're going to hear in a moment. I'm just trying to do a screen share so that I can bring up the actual video on the screen, and you can see some of the images as well. So I'm trying to find that option. Okay. Girl, for some reason, I can't find my screen share option. What in the world? I think I might need your help on this. Oh, share screen.
Found it.
I just found it. All right, so we're sharing this. I'm going to make this bigger. Hopefully this will be loud enough. So this was a video that I shared that I made I think around the time that I left Oklahoma, and I felt safe to share it when I got away from him. So you're going to see some pictures on the screen of him and I. You're going to see some pictures that will definitely be triggering because it will show the damage to my face, some of those pictures. But I'm hoping this will be loud enough. I want you to listen because this is what a narcissistic abuser sounds like. I want you to particularly listen to how he never takes responsibility for what he did to me ever. He's always the victim. He's always right, no matter what. And anytime you want to stop and interject, Madonna Magdalena, you have the floor to do that, and I'll just pause the video, okay?
Thank you.
So here we go. We are listening to an abuser. So the rustling around is me getting my phone. And me eating some cookies. All right, so his voice is kind of low. You're gonna have to really, really, I guess, kind of lean in to hear. It sounds like I can't make this any louder. I'm gonna stop it right here though, and just kind of paraphrase what he just said. So he said, "Okay, I'll
Hey,
make this quick." Uh-huh.
interject real quick. Go
Yeah.
go out of share screen.
Uh,
Disable the share screen for a second. I'll walk you through it.
oh, okay, stop. Okay, great, great. All
Now,
right.
now select share screen again. Good Lord, English, huh? It's hard, I hear.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Select share screen again, but this time look at before you choose the screen to share. Look at the bottom left hand
Uh-huh.
corner and also select share sound.
Yes. Thank you. Thank
You're welcome.
you. Thank you very much. All
I
right,
didn't
this
know
should
what
make it
that dude
much
said by that
better.
point. Yeah.
Yes. Right. So he said, thank you so much. So he said, I'll make this real quick. The only reason why I showed up here is because this is the one thing you didn't erase off the calendar. So we had a lot of things synced, including our calendars, because I was heavily reliant on him with things like, picking up the baby, stuff like that, which is probably why the relationship also lasted longer than it should, because my youngest two children's father, another one who is such an upstanding gentleman and a police officer in that community, was an absolute and is an absolute deadbeat. I could not depend on him for anything, and my daughters were not safe with him. So this boyfriend, um, you know, um, I was able to depend on him for certain things. And he was never an issue or a harm to my children, and he never was for me either until we got further along into the relationship, which is why I decided to terminate the relationship. But I will say, he never, ever, there's only one man that's ever been a threat to my children, and that is their own actual father. And you guys can go into that video series Behind the Badge to find out about that mother sucker. That put me in a particularly vulnerable position, once again with another monster. Uh, so he's saying this is the only thing you didn't take off of the calendar, because when I'm done, I'm done. I try to make a clean break. So I deleted as much as I could that was synced with his, and apparently that was still on there, he says. And he actually felt like he was justified in showing up to my therapist's office, hijacking the appointment, because in his mind, it was still on the calendar, which means he's free to show up and go there, which is what he did. And so you spend all this time to drive all the way over there, and then you say, I'm going to make this quick, and this is something else you got to remember. Men like this, when you hear sayings like, I'm just going to say my piece and I'll be done, or I'll make this quick and then I'll let you have it, or I'll let you speak. Those are red flags. Those are dog whistles. That's an abuser speaking. Remember that.
It came up as, is
Okay.
therapy, I guess.
I just honestly didn't even
figure that once I got here. As far as Saturday goes, you know, I'm explaining it 100% from my view and for what I feel like maybe your view was, and then say my piece, and then I can let y'all have y'all therapy because really I did.
Did you hear that? I'm going to explain everything from my view and what I think your view is. I'm going to say my piece and then I'm going to let y'all have your therapy.
So,
That's what he
because
just said. So you drove. Mm-hmm,
because
mm-hmm.
because the opinion of this total stranger apparently was so important to him, he felt like it was also important to make sure that he was there to provide what the necessary context about your experience with that you're talking to your therapist about, and
Interesting.
not like
Mm-hmm,
to the degree that he even was that was his right, his entitled position
mm-hmm,
to do so.
mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. Interestingly enough, this is something else that narcissists are so vain, they think everything is about them. That therapy appointment had nothing to do with him. Nothing to do with him.
Hilarious.
That incident in question had already been a couple of months prior. Me being in therapy had everything to do with me, but because I would not answer his calls, because I would not communicate with him, because I had boundaries. Anytime I asserted boundaries, here's the thing: when you assert boundaries with people and they start to flip out, you now have your facts. You're dealing with an abuser. So because I had boundaries and I would not give him the audience that he always demanded. It's not enough that he's on the radio and he has tens of thousands of people who listen to him and really happen to like him over there in that part of the country. That was not enough. He needed to have my undivided. And so because he couldn't have it, you're going to drive to another city to my therapy appointment, hijack it, come in there, say your piece, tell me your perspective, think and really think that, you're so dependent on validation so much. You needed to be in front of my therapist and share your perspective in front of my therapist. Say your piece, and then I'm going to let you have your therapy. You're listening to an abuser. And I want you ladies to listen, because how many of your boyfriends and your husbands, your sons, your coworkers, your classmates behave like this? You're listening to an abuser. Beware and govern yourselves accordingly. Here we go.
Come out here to, go back and forth, whatever.
I'm gonna go back a couple seconds.
So on that one, he's making it clear that you're not supposed to interject, or it's a one-way conversation.
Yes. There's a lot of dog whistles in here, and we ain't even got past the first 2 minutes because I didn't come back here to go back and forth. I'm entitled to be wherever you are. I'm entitled to be wherever I want to be.
Totally uninvited. Yeah.
Yes.
But since I'm here, uninvited and all, I'm going to make the rules while I'm here too.
Right. And I don't really want to go back and forth with you. I can't tell you how many men in my life have said that to me, and that's exactly what that means. That means you shut the hell up and listen. We're not going to have all this back and forth. We're not going to have all this back talk. You're going to listen, period. I'm going to say my piece, and then I'm going to let you have it. Because if I say it, so let it be written, so let it be done. You are listening to an abuser. How many of you have heard men say this to you? Or when you begin to speak, they say, let me finish, let me speak, let me speak. Or when you speak and you don't agree with them, they say, I'm not trying to have this back and forth with you, or you're not listening to me. Because to them, listening means compliance, it means obedience, it means they are in control. That is what listening is to these monsters. Shall we hit play?
Let's do it.
I I didn't come out here to, you know, go back and forth, whatever. Saturday night, you know, I got angry once I sensed attitude from you, but just let me get it out. The reason why I went back and apologized is because I had to.
I just said, wow.
Yeah. He said Saturday night, I got angry because I sensed an attitude from you. I remember all of this very, very, very like vividly. And I remember the face I made and I didn't even say anything. Just let me get it out. Okay, let's
to put myself in your position on where your head could have been. You were asleep when I got there. When I came in, you know, I leaned over, I picked you on the forehead, you didn't move. And that's fine, you were asleep. I got there at 2 something in the morning. After, you know, I told Michaela to, you know, grab Lawson or whatever. I mean, yeah, I got a little nipped because I felt like you were just, you know, overstepping me. Like, hey, she's carried him upstairs before when she was asleep. Now, what I should have said, you know, and the reason I told you to, you take him upstairs yourself is because I was smoking. Now, what I should have said is, hey, I want you to get up because I want you to join me in the shower. I didn't say that. I felt like had I said what needed to be said right then, we could have avoided that situation. I got upset when I felt like you again when you got upset. I guess I don't understand why you feel like you would be unsafe.
Just so I'm clear. Just so I'm clear. Because I may have missed some stuff, but I just want to be sure. Am I hearing that he's offering as part of his explanation that he was basically upset, or part of the reason he was upset was because he asked you to join him in the shower?
No. First of all, he has never, ever, ever asked me to join him in the shower. That was cap, and that was just that was him making up something. So the scenario that he was talking about that particular Saturday was that he came home from, you know, DJing, whatever he was DJing, who knows? It could have been from some other chick's house because he did a whole lot of that. And when he would frequently get upset when he would come in and I was already asleep. That was one thing. I'm supposed to be up, you know, after I have a full-time job. I have 4 children. I have a baby that I'm still breastfeeding. I also am a singer. I also am an actor. I got a household to run, but I'm supposed to always be up and, you know, the kid's completely away whenever you come home. So my son is still breastfeeding. So where do you think I'm going to have him in the bed with me? Even if he wasn't, that's my prerogative to allow my children to sleep with me. So it really angered him whenever he would come home, and whether to my house or to his, he stayed with me a whole lot. I stayed with him a whole lot. It's like both of our houses belong to both of us. And I think this particular time we were at his house, and it's so simple to me. Okay, you're up. You see that I've fallen asleep. So just pick the baby up and go put him in the bassinet. What's the big deal? Those things angered him. So he was angry about that. And he woke Michaela up and asked her to take Lawson upstairs. And I'm like, the fuck? Why can't you do it? And then he's like, why can't you? Like, just anything is a fight with him. And so he felt like I overstepped him by telling him that you don't get to wake my daughter up and tell her to move the baby.
So be a parent
who the fuck
to her sibling, basically.
Yeah, like I overstepped. That's the word he just used. I overstepped him. Overstepped who, mother? Who overstepped who? Who are you?
Right. So
You
he
have
woke
no.
your daughter.
Who are
You
you?
woke daughter up to participate in parenting her siblings, basically.
Exactly. And because I told him, no, that's not what's going to happen. You're not going to have my daughter move the baby. You're up. You're up. And so, then it's, well, why don't you get up and move him? Well, so I overstepped him because he's her father, or because he married me, because he actually, respected me enough to actually marry me and be her stepfather and adopt her too, right? So he had some authority.
Because he's the authority.
Right.
He is the authority. The thing.
Right.
And
he was such a man. Right. He earned the authority to be not overstepped because, he was providing for all of us too. He was providing our home, our everything.
I cannot even.
There was nothing. There has never been a time ever where he came in or I came in and we're like, "Ooh, let's join each other in the shower." There has never ever been a time ever. Most of the time.
Clear. Just so clear. Mm-hmm. This is like really this is the mitigating evidence that he's offering as to justify his anger. Just so clear.
Yes. Yes, there was always a reason to justify his anger, his raising of my voice, cussing me out, threatening to beat me up, intimidation, pushing me, and then eventually actually, doing worse than that. But even when you do
this made up story about something as trivial as me wanting you to take a shower with me and you're not engaging the way I want you to is justification enough to engage violently with you, to try to basically to engage bullying behavior with you. I just wanted to make sure I understood that right, because I heard things and I was like, it is volume. I just wanted to make sure I was hearing right.
Yep. And he said, what was he say? He didn't know where my head was at, but that's where his head was at. That is where his head was at.
How effing ridiculous.
Gotta love it. So we know where his head was at, so there's that. All right, ready to hit play?
Let's do it. I can't wait.
Because it truly was not that serious of a situation. I feel like I don't have a problem with your kids. I don't have a problem being around your kids. Your kids being on my bed is not a problem. I don't care about stuff like that. In all honesty, I just wanted to get to what I came home to do to you. And that was it. That was it. So, again,
please,
September is hard month.
What did Mother Circle just say?
He said, I don't have a problem with your kids being in the bed. I just wanted to get home to do what I wanted to do to you.
He heard himself talking, right? Just so I'm clear.
Yeah, it always sounded good to him as he said it. And it's because he has always been drunk off of the privilege and power of everybody lapping up all the words that come out of his mouth like it's just syrup and honey dripped in gold. And within that market. So I'm supposed to do the same thing, you see. And that's probably why there was so much anger, because I was never like this fan, like his baby mama and other women are, bragging about the fact that they are sleeping with, his community peen.
I got a little sick right now today. Hearing that combination of words said that way. And I can only imagine how disgusting that must have been to hear, like, what I wanted to do to you. Like,
yep.
You
And
what
you're
you a slab of dead gum beef that he's going to get home to devour? Like, ew.
yep,
Like
and
that.
you're saying
You
this.
are in therapy, and he's trying to, I don't know what, try to make this, I don't know what, that's weird. That's weird.
Hmm.
I'll leave that
And
there.
you're saying this, yeah, and you're saying this to my therapist. You're saying this in the presence of another, like none of this needed to happen. Um, First of all, there was never a time again where he came in from whatever, from from the radio station or from some club or from being with his baby mama in line and saying he was doing something else or being with the other side chick. There was a couple. There was never a time that he ever came home and was coming home to do something to me. He had probably already done what he had done. It wasn't that deep and that heavy. It wasn't, no. uh but yes, all these things sounded good in his mind, and I was still very much male identified. I was still in that place of, I got to love a brother to life. I need to speak life into him. We just need to keep going to church together sometimes and praying for each other. And, he's a good man. He's upstanding. And this really was an accident. I really tried to convince myself that incident was an accident, and it's never, I was still in that space of confusion. So, there was still very much a lot of emotional and mind control that was able to still be present. I at least had enough of presence of mind. I at least had enough of myself to know I need to record this because I'm going to need to rely on listening to this over and over again to help me get to where I'm trying to be later on. All right, shall we press play?
Yes, please.
All right.
For the obvious reason. For reasons of my grandmother, reasons of my father. And
I'm going to go back a little bit because
I'm like, hey, what?
so
huh?
Yeah, because I was sitting there like, so what now?
Yeah.
How your grandmother and your father now get into this? Wait, what? Which I
All right.
suspect I'll still be asking that question anyway.
All right, I'm going to play. I ran it back a couple seconds.
again, September is a hard month for the obvious reason. For reasons of my grandmother, reasons of my father. And I don't want every time we get into a disagreement that has to come up. That last year has to come up.
You know what he's talking about, right?
No clue.
September 19th, 2017. That's a really hard month for me. Almost every September, we were together for, I think, close to 5 years. And almost every September, that's when he would get the most violence. And I noticed that it was the pattern or cycle of abuse can be weeks, it can be months. For us, it seemed to be every year is when it got to its peak and then started all over again. And so what he's saying is, I don't want every time we get into a disagreement that you keep bringing up the fact that I broke your jaw this September.
What?
I don't want you to keep throwing this back in my face. All right.
Though you may be dealing with post-traumatic stress disorder behind it since you had a concussion and everything, but listen, get over it.
Mm-hmm.
Broken jaw and all, get over it.
Mm-hmm.
The last year has to come up. The shirt thing, I was being petty. That was just my excuse to get you to stay there a little bit longer so I could hopefully try to calm the situation down. That was it. That was Nothing more, nothing less. I don't give a dang about that shirt. That was, and speaking of, I did give you that shirt. I mean, hell, I don't know what you came in there for, so.
Came in where?
I mean, I don't know what you had on when you got there.
I had that shirt on.
Exactly. Like I said, I wasn't there. So it wasn't that serious. I tried to.
What is that?
You spent money to send the shirt back to me.
I'm good.
I know you did. I'm not saying that you're not. I'm just trying to.
Okay, so I'll add some context here. Whenever things would begin to escalate because of him starting to show aggression and anger, I would, if we were at my house, I would say to him, okay, you need to leave now. And if I was at his house, I would leave. If it was my house, I would tell him to leave. He would refuse to leave. And that's when he would start to, break things. And then eventually, instead of him putting his hands on things, he started putting his hands on me. If we were at his home, his mother would sometimes come out of the room, God rest her soul, I guess. And she would get in between us, but she would get in between us as if we're fighting. No, we're not fighting. Your son is abusing me. And he would not let me leave the house. If I had something, he would keep it. He would get in between me and the door. I remember one time I ran around the other side and tried to get out the garage. And when I opened the garage door, he was standing there. He would not let me leave. And she would say to him, leave that girl alone. But it was very passive, just kind of, he would raise his voice at her. He never put his hands on her, but he would definitely disrespect her as well. And here's another man with mommy issues. We can delve into that another time, but him always talking about how he never got love from her and she never told him she loved him and hugged and kissed him, things like that. So I guess the anger that he took out on me was maybe for his mom, who knows? But that's what he's talking about, him being petty and him not letting me leave his house again. And that is called holding a person hostage, first of all. I think he had kept a shirt or something like that. And he kept my shirt. So I wasn't able to put some of my clothes back on. And when I was finally able to leave, I left in one of his shirts. And so, to show like I really am done with you, I mailed the shirt back to him. So when he came to this therapy appointment, he actually was trying to, I think, give me my shirt back and give me money to reimburse whatever it was that I mailing his shirt back to him. I'm sorry, what'd you say?
Go ahead. I'm just so flabbergasted. I am so sad you had to go through that. Any of it.
Yeah.
And whatever the result is, the result will be. And after we had this conversation, if you still don't want to talk to me for a while, fine. I'll just see you, I guess, next week if you want me to cut Lawson's hair or whatever, fine. I don't want to fight with you. I did not want that situation to be like that. And I wasn't trying to do anything to harm you. I'm not trying to buy you anything, but I'm trying to pull shit out of the ceiling here. And this is where I go off doing drastic shit. I want to give you the shit that I wanted to wait to give you. But, and this shit don't matter. But, nothing major.
I appreciate it. I would have appreciated it, the consideration. But
So by doing drastic SHS,
this is him trying to position himself. This is him trying to position himself as the victim now, as needing to be careful, as wounded.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Got it.
And the drastic SHIT that he's talking about was him he pulled out some gifts. He brought gifts to me there. Mind you, this is my therapist's office. This is my therapy session. And he comes there to hijack it and to give a not apology, to make himself the victim, to shut me up again, to make sure that his perspective is always paramount, and also to do a very pathetic attempt at love bombing me by doing some drastic shit and giving me gifts in front of an audience. These things would frequently happen where he would show up at other places I'd be at in public with friends as well and do something nice or give me something nice in front of other people. I'm out to dinner with my girlfriends. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And you show up and, give me a gift or give me something. Looking back over my life, I see so many parallels. The first man to do that was my first abuser when I was a teenager in high school. And he would show up to school. He would show up to me and my girlfriend's off-campus lunches, and he would give me money. That was blood money. That was hush money. Let me compensate you for what I'm secretly putting you through. And let me also show all your little friends and the church people in the community how much of a good man I am and how much of a good uncle I am.
And how lucky you are to have me. How lucky you should feel to have me.
Yep. So I get to keep my mouth shut and just, let you have your way with me. Be a good little girl. Deal with it.
His words do what he wants to do to
you. Yes.
I think that's why they stood out with me that way.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, it did. It did. There was a physical reaction to that then and now. All right. And we're moving on. Before now.
I tried to tell you, I tried to talk to you that night, Nicole. Nothing major.
I appreciate it. I would have appreciated it, the consideration, before now.
I tried to tell you, I tried to talk to you that night, Nicole. That's why I called you.
There's no way we're having a conversation after what happened at the house. And upon my leaving, you telling me to take off my shirt and give it to you since I want to be dramatic and leave.
I didn't want you. I wasn't thinking you was going to take the shirt off right there.
But you said it, and you...
How was that? Okay.
The wrongs are way beyond that day.
How is it wrong for me to say something petty when you say petty stuff all the time?
You know what? You're right. We should not go back and forth. We're like...
I don't... But here's the thing. I don't... That's not what I came here to do.
We're not on the same, we are not on the same page. We really are not.
That's not what I came here to do. I didn't come here to go back and forth. I just wanted to say my piece.
Even your response to what I just said, we're not on the same page.
But you're, Nicole, I don't feel like you're hearing me. What I'm saying to you
even that, we're not on the same page. We're just not. And that...
I said, you know what? I had the wrong reaction. I didn't consider that you were asleep. I didn't say what I needed to say to you because I should have.
People get on each other's nerves.
How are we doing on time?
We're about up.
Okay.
People get on each other's nerves, and that's a normal thing. But that's not the issue. The issue is when you get upset with someone or annoyed, there's just certain things there are certain boundaries you don't cross, and you cross them consistently. And I have said that I will not tolerate it, and then I continue to tolerate it, and I continue to tolerate it. So this breakup is for me, because I've said I don't want to be talked to this kind of way. I don't want to be treated this kind of way. Just because you're angry doesn't give you a right to talk to me or call me stupid or raise your voice or shut the fuck up. Those things don't make me feel safe when there's aggression in your voice and in your body language. And I've said it. I've told you, the things that I want sexually. I've told you that I like gifts on a regular basis. I love Godiva chocolate. And now we've been together for over 2 years. And this is the second or third time you've bought me Godiva. And only after I'm so upset that I don't want anything to do with you. I told you I love flowers, and I just had to watch a new coworker come in and have flowers at her desk And I've never got, no, I think one time I got flowers from you. And when I joined OES, when you showed up empty-handed, it's like a bunch of things. Like, I've given you the blueprint and you didn't, like, we're not on the same, like, we're not on the same page. And the biggest thing is the way that conflicts are handled between us. Like, not okay. Not okay. And you say you don't, September is a hard month for you, and you don't want last year to come up. Today is the 1 year anniversary of my face getting stitched up. And you've never asked, you don't ask me how do I feel, and you don't know that my lip is still swollen and it's still sore here. And when there's certain things that happen between us, it brings all of that shit back. All of it back. Like,
actually, you said that part to me before, and I have asked you about it. And
but you talk about you and all your stuff, and you even came in here to talk about yourself and all your stuff and how September's hard for you and your perspective of what happened. And it's always about you and your perspective and how I'm wrong. And I'm like,
I didn't say that you were wrong, Nicole. All I'm saying to you is this. All I can do is come in here and tell you where I was on that night. Because I can't apologize for something that you do. All I'm doing is explaining to you.
You did that already. You that morning you kept texting and calling me and telling me your perspective.
Well, you know, I wanted to, I guess, do it again. You know, again, I'm sorry. Like, I'm trying here. I don't want this to be like that.
It's completely unhealthy, and this is the stopping point. Like, I'm too.
Okay, so I stand corrected. It's been a while since I've looked and listened to this video, which shows growth. It's been a long time. So the date, this is actually the 1 year anniversary of the date of him breaking my jaw in two places. And so this was September 17th, 2018. And this was around the time that I realized, this pattern is never, ever going to stop. I had some time to process everything that had happened and look at his behavior, his certain consistent behavior patterns. September, October of 2016, I called the cops on him for the first time because one of his side chicks called me and basically just let me know who she was and that she's been with him, that she's never going to stop being with him. So I just basically kind of need to know what's up, that he's always going to be with his baby mom. He's always going to be with her. And basically, if I'm going to be with him, I'll be a part of the team. And when I confronted him about that, he went ballistic and just started breaking things in the house, yelling at me. And I'm just like, there's no need for this. I'm just letting you know that I'm not trying to be on this team. I'm done. And he acted like a toddler, like a king baby. What did I do wrong? She's lying. And he wouldn't leave the house. And that's the first time he began breaking and throwing things in the house. And I called the cops on him. And when I called the cops, he left. Then, patterns started then things calmed down again. And he's apologizing. Let's go to church. I love you. I love you. I give him another chance. Things slowly work its way back around to September 2017. Where now you've put your hands on not only so many things, you put your hands on me and you almost kill me. I thought that I was getting away and I got sucked back in. So here it is another year. And we had another incident where he put his hands on me and I don't even think I realized I was going into therapy on that exact date. But I just remember saying to myself by this time, I said, if I don't find the way to really completely end this and get some help, I am going to die. This man's going to put me in the ground. So here it is. I'm still trying to figure out a way to be done with him and rid of him. And he is just not trying to let me go. And if you can hear the trembling in my voice, I wouldn't even actually throw it in his face and accuse him to his face of what he did to me because I was still that afraid of him and his reactions. And it took so much for me, even in that moment, to find my voice to say what I was saying. You can hear the shaking and the trembling in my voice even now as I'm giving this read. And I feel like I was pleading in that moment, just let me go. Just let me go, because this is, like I said, it's not good. It's completely unhealthy. So, okay. Anything else you want to give for your read before I hit play?
You know what's interesting? I'm gonna go ahead and say it. I
Mm-hmm.
apologize to you in advance because I'm just so
Mm-hmm.
I'm just so baffled by a lot of this that I'm probably not going to to have a whole lot to add, honestly. Like I'm sitting here imagining and in my imagining, what it must have been like to be in your position. I'm speechless. Like I didn't
Yeah. I
experience
still
it and I'm
can't.
speechless just imagining it. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. I still can't believe that there was a part of me for almost all of my life that felt like if you love a man, you should just put up with his bad behavior and try to, I don't know, love him into being a better person. And for the sake of whatever semblance of family you have, you know, just hold on to the good times. Like the picture that you're seeing right now is one of the commercials we did together. But even that was I was doing that on my own without him. He didn't put me on a TV. I put him on a TV. That was my work. That was my like these are all things I was accomplishing for myself either way. So even but at that time I was thinking, let me hold on to the good times and who's at the door? Let me hold on to these good times and these are the reasons why we should stay together because we can feed into these moments and make these things better. Just a second, somebody's at my door.
No problem.
Where's your key? Okay, I'm in the middle of something, so I'll take a look at that lock later. Ooh, technology is great till it's not great. All right, so I'm gonna hit play and let it. But there was just I was so male identified, and I think that a big part of that influence was growing up in the church, where you saw so many couples say, pastors' wives standing next to these husbands who've cheated on them and they've embarrassed the church, and they're standing right by their man though, and the woman was a Jezebel and all this other stuff, and having this testimony of we went through hell and high water together and he did this and he did that and basically he made me look like a clown but we're still here. Like there was some virtue in being able to say but we're still here, we're still together.
Well, because what do
So
you do
whatever.
when you don't do when everything when each direction you turn is wrong in the eyes of the judge, right? And so yeah, well, if you walk away with whatever sanity and self respect you have left, well, you didn't fight hard enough for your marriage. You're not a godly woman. What else? Let's see. You broke up the marriage when you left because
Yeah.
apparently abuse is not actually a justifiable reason. Well,
No, because
abuse, yeah.
no, because what's the question that we always get as women? But do you have a man though? But do you have a man? So
That part.
I'm going through all of this. But I got a man though. I got a man. I got a man. And I got a man who's on the radio. Too old to be in another unhealthy relationship. Like that last message I sent to you 8 times, that is exactly how I feel. I'm doing my personal work and you just need to do yours. I can't, the relationship, like I can't live with, this is not what I want for my life. Not now, not ever. Like I don't want this. I want my kids saying you call me stupid and hollering and shut the fuck up and the back and forth and the screaming and all that stuff 3 o'clock in the morning.
I called you stupid.
Yes, you did. I don't want them seeing that when there's a conflict, it's okay to start insulting each other and being emotionally and verbally just abusive with each other just because you feel like that's the best way to get your point across and you feel like I'm not listening to you because I don't agree.
You're right. That's not healthy. And again,
I'm just going to pause to say what I'm omitting is you also putting your hands on me, because I'm afraid to say that to him, because I knew that if I actually, like when you rub a dog's face in their own shit, that if I actually said it and made him actually look at that and face that, that would be a trigger and that would be an explosion. So I'm falling short and I'm saying everything except for stop putting your hands on me. And especially me saying it in front of another man or in front of someone else and saying it in public. I felt like those would be the trigger words that could have my life ended in broad daylight in front of anybody, and nobody would stop it.
I'm sorry. I didn't come out here to fight with you. I came out here to, apologize, in front of you, in front of you, in front of the kids if I had to. I didn't feel like I was doing anything to make you unsafe because I know where I was that night. I wasn't going to do anything to you.
But
like that was an argument.
That was more than
I know it was an argument that shouldn't have went that far. Had I said what I needed to say, had I communicated what I needed to communicate, it wouldn't even went there.
So why didn't you communicate that day?
I honestly, at that particular point, I wasn't even thinking about it. It didn't even, after, when she left, I was mad. Like when she walked outside, and left, I jumped on my cell phone and, said, you gonna be petty, leave my shirt. And, whatever I said again, I'm not gonna kiss your ass or whatever. I was pissed at that moment. But then I went in and I thought about it like, okay, while part of me in my head is thinking like, damn, I just came home from the tree. Like, you're gonna have to get up anyway. Let her take him upstairs. But after I thought about it, it's like, she can't read my mind. And I didn't say it because I didn't think about it. And I, of course, after every conversation we have, after every disagreement, I go back and I go over it. Okay, what could I have done different in this situation?
So the goal is for us to do that before that happens.
Of course.
You see what I mean?
So before it turned into, anything else or turned into this, basically, after I thought about it, granted we were already text banging. I went ahead and, apologized and was like, hey, you know what? I'm sorry if, the energy I gave off, you took it as such and such. And, I said that. And, of course, after the end, I kept thinking, of course, we kept, going back and forth. I feel like maybe if I'd have left it there, maybe we could have had a conversation about it the next day. And, if I screwed that up, then, hey, I got to own that. I'm sorry. Like, I'm not here to fight with her. I didn't want to fight with her then. Like, she's about to leave town and I'm about to leave town. Like, this is not where I wanted us to be right now. Like, I wanted us to, do what we were supposed to do that night.
And this is where I'm
turned into this, basically, after I thought about it, granted we were already text banging. I went ahead and, apologized and was like, hey, you know what? I'm sorry.
All right, so I want to shout out Minister Happy Nappy Magdalene in the house. Thank you for being here on the live, and I'm looking at your messages and responding. You said, let's see, those women look really bad too, and they are extremely jealous of liberated women. Yes, this is true. As a child and growing up underneath the, is it the word auspice, I think, of those women, I clung to their words because that was the strongest influence that I had and I saw. I did not see that they were miserable as a child and as an adolescent. I just saw what they said, and I saw what they presented, which was, men will be men, boys will be boys, and it's a good thing to have one. So no matter what, I'm down for my man. You guys see that video that it was like some old video showing Black love, and one of those Black women in the 70s was like, even the way he abuses me is beautiful. It just made me think about that. Uh, so when this guy in the video says text banging, that was one of his little hood colloquialisms. Although he was college degreed, he loved everything that seemed to be about like the hood type, and that means arguing via text message. But the only one who was even banging via text message was him. Let's make that clear. I was never threatening him. I was never the aggressor in any of these things. It was always him, even in text message. So I'm going to let it keep playing. And I'll be, looking at the comments and things like that as well. And again, I heard you, though. I heard you, Madonna Magdalena, saying that at this point, you don't have much to interject and you're here listening. And that's fine. And if that changes, let me know. I'll hit that pause button. So I'm going to try to let it play a couple of minutes at a time and then go back in for context and do something that in that time I didn't have the courage to do. I didn't have the strength to do, but I do now. I barely had the courage, and I'm proud of who I was in that moment, because I found as much as I could within me to at least speak up for myself and advocate for myself, voice shaking and all in that moment. And of course, that voice began to get stronger and stronger. And that's why you're listening to Darling Nikki today. But I'm about to give this read. We're going to listen, and I'm going to talk all my shit that I couldn't in that moment.
If, the energy I gave off, you took it as such and such. And, I said that. And, of course, after the end, I kept thinking, of course, we kept, going back and forth. I feel like maybe if I'd have left it there, maybe we could have had a conversation about it the next day. And, if I screwed that up, then, I gotta own that. I'm sorry. Like, I'm not here to fight with her. I didn't want to fight with her then. Like, she's about to leave town and I'm about to leave town. Like, this is not where I wanted us to be right now. Like, I wanted us to, do what we were supposed to do that night.
And this is what I'm thinking, Mr. Dre. So that morning, when she left in a state of unrest, right?
Arrest.
The mind was not at rest. Her mind was not. So if she got into a wreck and she died,
Exactly.
how would you have
Horrible.
looked, about the situation?
I felt horrible. I mean, the fact that she texted me and said that I put her in a dark place to have to get her kids in the car in the truck at 3 in the morning and go back home. Like, that's not what I wanted. I didn't want her to leave. So, that was me trying to, it's not that I expected her to come back or whatever, but those are things that my mind wasn't there. Like, I wasn't in fight mode. Don't get me wrong. Like, I was pissed.
So what are you upset about? And to be honest, I've never had, I only talked to her on the phone to just act, like I told you, to acknowledge that I got a text message. I've not even talked to her about situations, right?
Right.
But I just feel like this is something that both of you, at some point, you need to ask yourself. Both of you need to sit down and be like, hey, is this what I really want?
It's not. It's not.
Because,
and that was my final wake up moment. It's not.
To be honest with you, I feel like, at this point, both of you need to be honest with each other. And that's why I told you that, if I meet with her, I will meet with you, then we can do another session together. Both of you need to be honest with each other. What exactly you want out of this?
Well, I know what I want, and I'm not getting it out of this, and I don't believe that I will get it out of this. I want to be greeted a certain way. I want to be talked to a certain way, even in times of frustration or anger, because that happens. I feel like when you love and respect someone, there's just certain things you won't allow yourself to go to a place that our disagreements go consistently.
Can I
And
ask you a question?
sure.
And, this is, this might not matter, but this is something that, I almost did before you left. If I'd have caught you when you're about to get in the car and hugged you, would it change?
It would have calmed some things. But I feel like it shouldn't have got to the point to where I felt I needed to get up And you
I
know,
understand that. I understand.
So why didn't you do that? Why did you let her go?
I didn't want her to leave. It's like
Do you think if you have talked her, if you've talked to her, if you've calmed her down, do you think she would have left that?
I would have still left, because at the end of the day, I have to start respecting my own boundaries. And when you call me stupid and when you're saying shut the fuck up, it's time for me to go. And it's time for us to stop.
The part that I am omitting here is he's not just saying shut the fuck up. He's saying shut the fuck up before I beat your ass. I'm not saying everything, because I still could not even bring myself to repeat it. Because if I repeat it and I say it to him, I'm making him I'm forcing him to deal with that. I'm also forcing myself to deal with that. And then also deal with the fact that, this man has already done it. This man has already broken my jaw. And here we are a year later, and I'm still giving him a chance to do it again. Because I listened to when I tell you, after that incident and after my surgeries and my healing, him coming to church, coming to try to do a church therapist thing, and the praying and the of course the cycle of abuse, where you get back to the honeymoon phase and the on bended knee, and I'm just so sorry, I'm begging you, it's really not what you thought it was. It really was an accident. You lost your consciousness, or you lost your memory, you're not remembering it correctly. Him even reenacting what happened and how I fell in my house to show me, and just so much stuff, so much programming, so much everything. So it's a year later, and I've had a lot of time to process, to think, to look at patterns, and to see that this is never going to change, and it's likely going to get worse. I've got to get the hell up out of here. All right, let me go ahead and hit play.
Stop communicating.
Like I said, the whole reason I said,
But I probably wouldn't have left so angry.
the whole reason I said, come up out of my shirt was just, to stall you enough time to, calm the situation. Like I didn't want that. I don't want this to be like Apollo. I don't want that. I didn't want this to be like that on these terms. I came here today. I'm not expecting, us to be just happy-go-lucky, whoop-de-whoop. The last few times that we've gotten into arguments, and we get pissed when I'm talking for a few hours. Sometimes it might be a day or a night, the next morning or whatever. She'll say something, and hey, we just need to do some meditating, and we'll just talk when it's time to pray. We can't fight about that, or whatever the case is. So she's made some suggestions that I feel
I've seen growth. In that area with her.
Yeah, there is. I guess what I was hoping from the day, like, I just wanted to establish peace and make her understand that I wasn't going to do anything to you. And I'm sorry. Look at Diet Chocolate. Maybe it's,
Into these words, okay, Madonna Magdalena has to leave the building and get to an appointment. I really appreciate you rocking with me for as long as you could. I'm going to continue on, of course, and try my best to get to this video before my appointment as well. All right, Chica, I see your message. Love and light to you this afternoon. And as you're listening,
I hold space for sure.
yes, absolutely. Thank you. And as you're listening to the live on YouTube, if you are one of my girls and you want to join, then send me a message and I will send you a link to join me in this conversation on YouTube. Okay, so I'm pausing it because he said, I wanted to establish peace and make you understand. A a lot of these guys, when they're saying they just want peace, they just want peace, they just want you to be their peace, understand what that means to them. And of course, it's not all men. It's not all men. But when we're talking about an abuser, when they're saying they want peace, they just want peace, that means they want you to shut up and they want to make you understand. Make you understand to them and establish peace to them is synonymous. It means that they want to establish their will on you. Establishing peace and getting an understanding from you does not mean you comprehending what they say, because we're intelligent enough to do that. That's not what they mean. What they mean is that they want to be able to establish dominance. They want to colonize your mind, your will, your emotions, and your spirit. That is their peace. That their way is established and their way is the right way. Whatever their thought is supreme and paramount. So I needed to translate that for you.
Oh, not the right time for that. But I feel like in a situation to where, and this is me taking responsibility and trying to let her know, hey,
But what we're gonna do differently,
what we do differently is say, try to take her feelings into consideration and just figure out where she is. Like, she, through our text, argument, she said she didn't, she told me I was lying when I said I came downstairs and pecked her on the forehead. I actually did. But, like, I can't prove to her that I did it because she was asleep.
Right.
I mean, like, knocked out sleep. Like, she didn't wake up until I called her name and said hello like 3 or 4 times. And when she woke up, she looked at me confused, like she didn't even know where she was. I mean, I'm just gonna assume you was in a deep sleep. Mm-hmm. You were tired.
I heard your tone and I heard you say hello. And when I woke up, I looked at you confused because I was trying to understand why you would have that type of tone, like you were upset. But none of this, like, honestly, none of this matters anymore. Like, it's a recurring thing. Like, we're not having a conversation about how we can go forward better. Like, we're not. I'm 35 years old and I have my goals for everything, including relationships, lined out. And this is not, like, it does not add up. And I'm not going to keep lying and kidding myself about everything. Like, we've been together for over 2 years and we don't even do the basic things that I want, like going to church on a regular basis, one of our churches, living life together, doing things together as a family, like none of that stuff. And I'm going to be honest with you, I'm never going to be satisfied with the way that you handle social media and relationships, because I live my life out loud, including my love life, and I want to be with somebody who loves to quote unquote put me on a pedestal or whatever it was that you called, and say to the world, this is the woman that I love, and not give me restrictions on what I can post on social media. You know that I'm a public figure, you know that I blog, I blog my life. I'm tired of having to hide that as well. I'm not satisfied.
So where do we go from here?
We don't go anywhere else. We just need to figure out how to part ways peacefully. I keep doing my work, he keeps doing his work.
I'm going to pause here. Figuring out how to part ways peacefully. It was apparent to me that anytime I started to have more strength in my resolve and I started to tap more into my personal power and move on, it infuriated him. And I feared for my life. He had already showed that he had the capability of taking it. He had already caused so much physical harm to me. Even a year later, he was revving up and I feel like working his way right back up again to where it would have been another broken jaw or maybe a broken neck or maybe who knows what next. I had so much that I needed to leave behind in terms of these relationships and being around these monsters. I knew that I needed to put distance between me and him, and also me and the ex-husband cop. And pretty much me and everything that had to do with that life that was killing me from the inside out, and that was not good for my children. This is the woman that I was, and I had to make a huge mass exodus to become the woman that I am now. And I sincerely believe, had I stayed there around these relationships that I did not have refuge from, and allowing them to continue to have access to me and my children, that I think it would have done me in.
Like, yes, there's good, but the bad is bad, and I don't want good and bad. I want good. And I don't want to be with someone that I have to keep looking at and wondering, is he going to hurt me?
I'm not gonna hurt you.
I mean, I've already been hurt, and it was as a result of my interaction with you. And although I had a concussion, so I'll never know. But honestly, that day wasn't.
It was an accident. I didn't even want to be there.
But you chose to come, and you chose to.
So now he's talking about September 17th, 2017. He said it was an accident. I didn't even want to be there. Yes, he did. He did want to be there. What I didn't know at that time was that while we were on the phone, and I was just trying to just establish that we were broken up and get off the phone, and he wouldn't even let me go. That whole time we were on the phone, he was already driving to my home, and he was saying things to see if he could establish that I was home or not. He definitely did want to be there. He intended to be there. He came there for that purpose. And you're looking at the result of it on the screen right now. Magdalene says, I'm trying to understand why the damn court is drawing this case out with all the evidence. So this is not in the courts anymore, unfortunately. The ex-husband, who actually took pleasure in finding out that this boyfriend did this to me, he celebrated that, as a matter of fact, and he said to me that wouldn't have happened had I stayed with him. And he's right. It wouldn't have happened had I stayed with him. Had I stayed with him, he would have shot me with the same gun that he pulled on me. That's what would have happened had I stayed with him. But unfortunately, after like 6-7 years of no contact by his choice, he is now suing me in court for full custody of children that he never, ever wanted to be bothered to raise. I don't understand why these monsters don't just leave you alone and let you live your life finally in peace and prosperity and just without them disturbing it. If all you've ever caused someone is peril, the most humane thing you could do is finally let them go. But that's not what these animals do, because they want you to always be destroyed. They want you to always be in their grasp. And with a narcissistic abuser, and unfortunately, I've had more than my share of them, they either want to destroy you or discard you. I really wish that they would all discard, but there are some who seek to destroy. And that is what this ex-husband is doing now. But you know what? That's another conversation for another day. Let's keep it going with this right here with the ex-boyfriend, not the ex-husband. You're listening to an abuser. And I want you, as you're listening to his voice, the fake calmness in his voice, the fake sound of submission in his voice, the phrases, the things that he's saying, ask yourself, how many times have you heard your boyfriend, your husband, other men around you say some of these things? And if you've heard it, you are listening to an abuser.
do everything you did to me before I woke up on the floor with a broken jaw. None of that was an accident. And it was a result of you and the...
Let me run it back.
Like, yes, there's good, but the bad is bad, and I don't want good and bad. I want good. And I don't want to be with someone that I have to keep looking at and wondering, is he going to hurt me? I mean, I've already been hurt, and it was as a result of my interaction with you. And although I had a concussion, so I'll never know. But honestly, that day wasn't.
It was an accident. I didn't even want to be there.
But you chose to come, and you chose to do everything you did to me before I woke up on the floor with a broken jaw. None of that was an accident. And it was a result of you and the way that you handled your anger. And that's a huge issue. And I don't feel safe with you.
So on one end, you can tell the world that I stepped in front of a gun for you.
Well, the lady didn't actually pull a gun, but it was assumed.
This is what you said. But this is what you said. You're telling the world that, get you a guy that will step in front of danger for you.
I never said that specifically. But
okay.
This is true. You are the man that when you thought she was going to pull a gun, you stepped in front of me. But you're also the man that when you're angry with me, I have to wonder, am I going to wake up with a broken jaw, or what's going to get broke next?
You're not. We haven't had a situation that went anywhere near that, and we're not going to.
I don't believe so. Mr. Because when you get angry...
Can you and I find time to talk about your emotions around the feeling of anger? I mean, I have seen you, even getting therapy, respond when you are not satisfied with things. That sometimes I think that you can react differently.
But if you put your hands on me in a certain way, and any can go further, and there are things that happen before violence. Before violence, there's the anger, there's the rage, and there's aggression. That's what happens first. And I refuse to sit around and wait for what's going to happen next. And I've said this. I've told you about why I left Derek.
You did. You've had that conversation.
But like I've said it over and over and over and over and over again. Like, I'll find a way to make sure that I'm being non-emotional and non-dramatic, and like I'll take a couple of days and then I'll come to you and I'll say, hey, this is what's happening, this is how it makes me feel, and this is what I want. And almost every single time you lose your patience with me, you find a way to turn it into a fight, and you don't respect the boundary or the rule. And then you do it again. So like, I don't have a choice at this point. Like,
I don't want to hurt you. I'm not here to hurt you. I never set out for any of that to happen.
I believe it.
That was an accident. That situation.
No, that day wasn't an accident. It's much bigger than that. And it really infuriates me that that's how you choose to look at it. And it also infuriates me that you've never stood up for me. Never stood up for me in that situation. You've never stood up for me in that situation and said out loud that, yes, there was an altercation. I am sorry. This is the one, but I am with her. This is when you want somebody, you are not afraid. I'm positive you have never taken a stance on it. Never. Anybody, because this is what comes back to me about this situation, and this is and if you wanted to protect me in that situation and make it clear, it would never come back to me that I'm just this crazy woman who's lying on you and you're such a good guy to be with me and blah blah blah, even though I lied on you.
Who said that?
Several people.
Well, that's
way too many people.
Let's be honest here. I have protected you. I have fought for you. I have argued for you. Of all the people that have told me to stay away from you, the reason why I didn't say what I needed to say to Mike J because we got into a fight about that.
But guess what? I said what I needed to say to my family for you, but you didn't even reciprocate in that.
Let me finish. Let me finish. The reason why we don't talk about that, he and I, because I actually did.
That's not what you said to me.
No. What I actually said, no.
You said you weren't ready for all that.
I said I wasn't ready for that. I said he doesn't know that we're together. I said all that to you, but at the same time, when I looked on my computer and seen that picture of you and your grandfather, I reached out to him first because I actually wanted him to say something to you, because I felt like had I reached out and said, you know, anything, that would have been a violation of the VPO. Who was that? There's also my guy Tracy. There's also Apollo. There's also Maurice. There's all of these people.
And they all stay the hell away from me, and there's a reason for that.
Nicole?
When a couple is together, and when it's their intention to be married, like you say, and it's their intention to be a family, your friends are my friends are your friends. Your friends avoid me.
I can't force them.
No, you can't. You can't.
So what am I supposed to do?
But that's all a result of whatever they're getting from you and whatever they're getting from this relationship. You can't force them to like me, but you can integrate.
What I'm saying?
Yes, I am.
You hear? Actually, what I'm saying to you is, I fought for you.
That's
like
your words.
We had a whole intervention.
Your words and your actions and our reality don't line up.
We had a whole intervention about this situation on why I keep going back. The same thing with Winfred and everybody else. Mahogany, I had to have an argument with Mahogany about you, and she don't even matter.
Well, again, your words and the stuff you're telling me and reality don't match up.
What's
because
the
reality is you have your life and your people over here, and you've never introduced me to these people that you're saying you fought and argued. You've never done the work to integrate our lives, for your friends to be my friends. You've never said to the world, like a man does when it's a woman that he pursues and this is a woman that he loves, this is my woman, this is who I love. You've never made that clear. You've never stated your position. You've never claimed me. You've never publicly claimed me. You keep me off of social media. You keep me out of your life. When you go do your things, you do it by yourself. Even the few things, whatever. It's all by yourself. We can't even go to Avenue 101 together. We can't go anywhere together where people know you. Your words. We can't even go to my church together.
Anywhere. I don't do anything.
Your words. We can't go to any of these places together.
Where does it go?
Where do
everywhere.
I work.
I get it. I get it. I get it. But
on.
when you were with Dana, she could walk into that place and everybody knew that was your woman.
Really?
Yes.
I'm pretty sure.
Matter of fact, people to this day still think she's your woman.
No, people don't think she's my woman.
Oh God, I have to hear it.
There's nothing about my interaction with Dana that would say that she's my woman. Like, we don't interact on social media. We don't interact off of social media. If I were to call Dana right now, she would.
We do interact on social media because we had a conversation about that a week or two ago.
Because she commented on a picture of mine, and I went through and clicked like on everything. We had that conversation. But go through her page and look at anything, and what do you see, Dre?
I'm good.
Exactly. Like, I don't. First off, let me bring it down. I don't do anything. Like, you're telling me about integrating you with my friends, and the only friends I have.
You're telling me.
The only friends that I have Maurice. I have my Mason brothers. I talk to you about Terrence all the time, which is a reason you got Terrence to the house for the birthday dinner. Maurice is the only other person. You met Griff, you met G. I'm not around any of these people. Terrence is the only person that I talk to on a semi-regular basis. You're talking about me integrating you into some people that I'm not even around. I'm not around Winfred. Winfred lives in Chicago or wherever he lives. I don't hang with these people.
Well, you find time to have conversations with them in these interventions, and where was I?
Actually,
But-
at that particular time, you and I weren't speaking when I had that conversation with them. You're asking me, you're sitting up here saying that I didn't do something that, it ticks me off because I did.
I think you're simplifying what I said.
I'm
You're
not simplifying.
definitely oversimplifying what I said, because your life isn't just about your friends.
So,
You're telling me.
this is the deal, guys. So let's look at it this way. We've talked about all these things before. We've talked about understanding and identifying what each party wants out of this relationship, right? And what I hate is to be wasting your time. What do you want, Mr. Dre? What do you want? She already told you what she wanted. What do you want?
I want to go. I want to go back to
Go fight for her.
I am fighting for
What
her. That's why I'm
we
here.
want, Mr. Dre. She said something now, and that means a lot to me. She said, "You claim what you want. Go claim her."
I do claim her.
But she doesn't feel that way. It takes two to tango.
Yimmy,
You say you do, but she doesn't feel it.
Yimmy, this is what the deal is.
If you go on my Facebook, you're gonna see my wife. Everywhere,
Okay, that's fine. That is-
Let me,
office.
please let me finish.
No, it doesn't have to be social media.
Let me-
Look at me.
Well, actually, it does have to be social media. It has to be
Let
everything
me
for me.
finish,
It's the
please,
same
Nicole.
thing.
Just please let me talk and not interrupt me.
No. And I'm talking as a man now, Mr. Dre. I'm talking as a man, not as a therapist now. Who you love, you claim. You claim who you love. Claim
I
her.
claim Nicole.
Go fight for her.
I've been fought for Nicole. I've made an ass.
So, I'm sure you guys have seen this play out. As a matter of fact, there's a really funny social media influencer out of Chicago. I cannot think of his name, but I just saw a really funny skit he put out about a week or so ago where him and his girlfriend are getting into some argument or something, and he wants something, and she basically said, well, he was trying to get his way, and she was like, well, put some money on it. And as soon as she told him you got to pay for it, he was like, man, then F you, then walk out. So what's happening here is, he's saying, I want you. And the other gentleman who was my therapist is telling him, well, then stand on it then, because she's saying this is what she wants. He had been making a fool of me over the past couple of years. And I had been so long suffering with it. And I got to a point to where I decided this is my boundary, and it's going to be a hard stop. You've already put me through so much. You also put me through me almost losing my life behind you. I did have a concussion. And just like I put in that in my statement when I asked for the restraining order, that I vaguely remembered some things. I didn't start having my full memory come back until a year later, then another year later, another year later. So this is exactly a year later. I had time to process things. I had time to watch his behavior afterwards. He never, ever behaved as someone who was contrite. That, like if it was an accident and you almost took my life, there's a behavior, and there's going to be a behavior pattern change. There's also going to be this, again, you're going to be contrite, you're going to be remorseful, you're going to be trying to make it up, you're going to be even more gentle. None of that ever. If anything, there was even more arrogance that he did that to me and he got away with it. That was the only behavior change I saw after what he had did to me a year prior. So I'm putting all these things together. And again, a lot of people are so quick to say, why did you take this? Why do you take this? I would encourage you to go and look into more of the stories on Darling Nikki. Look into Addicted to Monsters and ask other people, ask other women, because it's typically the woman who is abused. Yes, some men get abused, but by the numbers, who are the majority of people who are getting abused, and who are the majority of the people doing the abusing? Okay, go Google that, because I'm not here to argue with you. Argue with your mama about that. So I'm talking to women. if you care, if you're a man or a woman and you care and you actually want to know, why do so many women put up with abuse? And why is it so hard to get away? Ask some questions, do some listening, look at the pattern of their life, and make sure that you're not repeating it, and make sure that you are aware. All right, so let me get back to the point. He is now having his feet being held to the fire. And we're basically saying, okay, you say this is what you want, then act like it. And I had already said this to him before, because I'm like, I'm an artist in this place, and you basically made my name look crazy. And this is affecting my work. And it's affecting my money, which means it's affecting my ability to care for my children, because you abuse me and you damn near killed me. But you got all these people in the streets thinking that somehow I broke my own jaw, and I'm lying on you. And I said, if you really, really want me to forgive you and you really want us to be together, then you need to tell the truth and make this right. And I also told him there was some other things he needed to put to sleep. He never would do it. So now we're in this office. You hijacked my therapy appointments. And you're being told by me and another man, okay, you want to make it right? Go make it right. And you see what he did there? He said, have a good day, Nicole. Man, I'm out of here. If you did, if you didn't. Like a child, like a child. When you tell a Kang baby who is suffering from arrested development, when you tell them that they actually have to do what they say they're going to do and they have to stand on business, this is how they behave. They tantrum and then they walk out. They tantrum and they either throw things and they try to destroy you, or they discard. You are listening to an abuser. Let's go.
That's out of myself fighting for Nicole. It's like when she doesn't know.
Pick it. Let me run it back just a little bit.
A lot to me. She said, you claim what you want. Go claim her.
I do claim her.
But she doesn't feel that way. It takes two to tango.
Yemi.
You say you do, but she doesn't feel it.
Yemi, this is what the deal is.
If you go on my Facebook, go to see my wife. Everywhere.
Okay, that's fine. That is,
let me finish.
No, it doesn't have to be social media. Look at me.
well, actually, it does have to be social media. It has to be everything
Let
for
me
me.
finish, please, Nicole. Just please let me talk and not interrupt me.
No. And I'm talking as a man now, Mr. Dre. I'm talking as a man, not as a therapist now. You know, who you love, you claim. You claim who you love.
I claim Nicole.
Go fight for her.
I've really fought for Nicole. I've made an ass out of myself fighting for Nicole. It's like when she doesn't realize I keep doing it, and every time that we get into it, she turns around and acts like I don't do nothing.
All right, guys. One of my girls, Precious, just entered the building, so let me greet her and bring her up to speed on this. All right, can you hear me? Uh-oh. Never mind. All right, so I'm trying to go back to the Zoom so I can see where you're at, girl.
Hey, I'm here.
Okay, cool. All right, so I'm gonna bring up the chat. That way, if you type anything, I can see it, and I want to bring you up to speed. So we're about halfway through with this video. So this is a recording that I took a couple years ago, and a relationship in the past. I'm putting it very, very kindly when I say gentleman, but I'm doing a video series, Addicted to Monsters, and this is where I'm just letting it all out, honey. And in this video, we're listening to an abuser. This is the man that broke my jaw. What we're listening to here is when I decided to pull my phone out and record him, because I was trying to leave him again. And he showed up at my therapist's office, and he basically hijacked my therapy appointment to create yet another scene. So we're listening to the last half of this recording and just kind of analyzing. So as you listen, any feedback that you want to give, any insight, any shit talking that you want to do along with me, girl, have at it, and I will pause the video.
Will do.
All right, so we're listening and reacting. Here we go. I'm gonna run it back just a minute or two. And the pictures that you're seeing are, that's 9 stitches in my face that he caused to be put there. I put up with a lot. A lot more than I should have. And I want people to see this is what an abuser sounds like. This is what an abuser does. And this is what happens when you get caught up with them. Something else that I said in the very beginning of the video as well, I was talking with another young lady, that the CA to DV pipeline is real, and it's something that needs to be talked about so much more. That is the child abuse to domestic violence pipeline.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be another conversation for another day. All right, so here we go. Let's listen.
Yeah.
I don't hang with these people.
Well, you find time to have conversations with them in these interventions. And where was I?
Actually, at that particular time, you and I weren't speaking when I had that conversation with them. You're asking me, you're sitting up here saying that I didn't do something that, it takes me off because I did.
I think you're simplifying what I said. You're definitely oversimplifying what I said, because your life isn't just about your friends.
So this is the deal, guys. So let's look at it this way. We've talked about all these things before. We've talked about understanding and identifying what each party wants out of this relationship, right? And what I hate is to be wasting your time. What do you want, Mr. Dre? What do you want? She already told you what she wanted. What do you want?
I want to go
fight for her.
I am fighting for
what
her.
What we want, Mr. Dre. She said.
Can you hear that video okay?
Yeah, I hear it.
Okay.
Say something now, and that means a lot to me. She said, you claim what you love. Don't claim her.
I do claim her.
But she doesn't feel that way. It takes two to tango. You say you do, but she doesn't feel it.
This is what the deal is.
If you go on my Facebook, you're gonna see my wife. Everywhere.
Okay, that's fine. That is.
Let me finish.
No, it doesn't have to be social media. Look at me.
Well, actually, it does have to be social media. It has to be everything for me.
Please, Nicole, just please let me talk and not interrupt me.
No. And I'm talking.
So in this moment, guys. Oh, go ahead. Were you going to say something?
No, go ahead.
In this moment, guys, on YouTube, you hear him saying again, please let me talk and not interrupt me. Mind you, this is a space that he was not invited to. He invited himself. He barged in. He's been doing all the talking. If you remember the first half of this time, I could barely find the courage to even speak and to speak up for myself. And the whole time he's been saying, let me talk. And I remember the first 2 minutes, all he said was, I just came here to say my piece and I'm gonna let y'all have your little therapy session because I didn't want to go back and forth with you. And here it is, 33 minutes of him talking and me needing to let him talk and me listen. You are listening to an abuser, guys.
I never understand people. He was like, therapist said, well, what do you want? He said, I want her. Shit like that kills me. You want me, but this is what my face looked like as a result. Like, I don't get it. I don't get people. I can't say I've never been in an abusive relationship, but a long term, you know what I mean? So this shit, it blows my mind every time, every situation. I want to know the mind of a person who goes into a therapist and express all this, and I want her and this, and then you do this to somebody. You need your ass beat, period. Stomped out. Well, go ahead. Girl, I'm in the airport with my mouth hung open. Like, what is going on?
I can look back at this and laugh, and I'm not laughing because it's funny. It's a couple different emotions. The you need your ass beat part is kind of funny to me. I want you guys are listening to an abuser. You guys are looking at the effects of abuse. For me, it was a broken jaw. But it was also a broken spirit. Some people don't wear their brokenness maybe on their body. Some people wear it differently, but abuse is abuse, and it's always for the same purpose. They want to colonize your mind, your body, your will, your emotions. These people are animals. They're animals. They do not love you. As a matter of fact, when you're dealing with an abuser, exchange the word love for use. Instead of I love you so much. It's I use you. I use you so much. I don't know what I would do without your use.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's crazy.
They have to have their narcissistic supply. And that is what you are to these people.
You can see that if he bust up in this. This is your session, correct? And you still saying, just let me talk. Let me talk. Let me. Honey, you wasn't even invited, baby. So what?
Exactly.
So what do you mean? Girl.
Yeah. And the most dangerous time for a woman is when she decides she is going to leave her abuser.
Oh yeah, honey. You have to map that thing out. You got to map that thing out to the T, because he's gonna try every which way, every angle, and because he's caught on guard, it's going to be even more dangerous. Because at this point, it's like there's no holds barred.
Yeah. Wow. There's the psychology behind what he did and how he did it. I just got with a new talent agency for me and my children. I was flourishing in my career. I was starting to have more sure footing. When he got with me, he saw that I was a married but separated single mother of 4 children who had an abusive ex-husband who was stalking me, who wouldn't let me go, who was neglecting the children, who was purposely making life hard for me. He had purposely made me and my children homeless. He knew all this. So I was ripe for the picking, because he could come around and play the hero, and any little bit of breadcrumbing he did, he knew that because of who I was in that moment, I would be so grateful and everything else. And he also expected me to be a fan because he's DJ D. Chappelle on the radio. He knew what he was doing when he got with what he used to say, a young bitch like me.
Okay.
He did not expect for me to try to divorce my abusive husband and to try to actually be more than just a baby mama.
Right.
So as I am gigging more, as I am flourishing more, I'm getting more commercials, I'm on TV more, I'm putting his behind on TV. I'm having these boundaries that he didn't expect me to have. And I'm having these rules for relationship that he didn't expect me to have. His whole attitude with me was, how dare you? How dare you?
What do you mean?
Absolutely, the ending. Yeah. Anytime I said no, this is what I want in my relationship, that infuriated him, because how dare I? Who do I think I am? I'm supposed to be some, baby mama that's just happy that some dude from the radio station is coming over, on a regular basis and doing a couple things here and there for me. And, and he thought he was piping me down, but he wasn't.
I'm dead.
you know.
Girl.
So when he realized he did not have control over me, and once I realized that this isn't a man who this is a man child, a king baby, you know, who's not even standing on his own 2 feet. He living off of his mama's check, and he living off of my groceries, and he barely doing a few things I'm asking him to do. So when I decided, you know what, this is not good enough for me, that infuriated him. So now you're stalking me too, just like the ex-husband. Now you're going through all my messages and trying to find, because you know, with these men, if you don't want them, then that means you got to be cheating with somebody. You got to be cheating with somebody.
It have nothing to do with you wanting better for yourself, and you finally,
Exactly.
you finally knowing your own worth. Nothing to do with that. Nothing to do with
Yes.
that.
Yes.
Has to be another
Yes.
man, because why? Because you
Yeah.
need a man. You need him. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? So
Yes.
that's
Yes.
how their mind works. Oh, it's another dude.
Mm-hmm.
Because you know, at one point she needed me and this and that, and I was her everything.
Mm-hmm.
And now since you're not
Mm-hmm.
my everything, it's another man. Oh God, go on by.
Yep. Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. That's why he purposely drove from his town to mine, because we did not live in the same city. After I broke up with him for real, and he threw me all over my house, body slamming me and everything else. And I am convinced to this day that he thought he killed me.
Mm-mm. Insane.
The hold that these type of people had on me was real. And it wasn't because of them, it's because of how I had already been raised and indoctrinated into. And again, the CA to DV pipeline, that'll be another conversation for another day, but it's real. And it's something to consider, and it's something to unpack. All right, let's keep listening to this.
As a man now, I'm talking as a man, not as a therapist. You know, who you love, you claim. You know, you claim who you love. Claim them. Go fight for them.
I've been fought for Nicole. I've made an ass out of myself fighting for Nicole. It's like when she doesn't recognize I keep doing it, and every time that we get into it, she turns around and acts like I don't do nothing.
Those were never my words.
You do, and she acknowledged that. She acknowledged that.
No, she doesn't, because every time we get into it, she goes back and she says something like that.
No,
like what?
No, she acknowledged things you do, Mr. Bray. She made a note to me, you know, and even here now she said there are goods. You know, she said that. But how do we make sure that all these things she talks about are validated? I think that's what we should.
This is something else that a narcissistic abuser does. And, you know, emotional abuse is abuse. They will try to gaslight you. They will try to take your words and twist them. You know, every time we get into it, she acts like I don't do anything for her.
But here's the thing, though.
Those were never my... Mm-hmm.
Here's what kills me about that, too, because they want you to look at everything they do as a grand old thing. You know, you take the garbage out. Oh, my God, he takes my garbage out. Put him on a pedestal. You know what I mean? Like, you put gas in your car. Oh, my God. How am I supposed to hold on to that? Like, what you want to... What do you want from me? They want to take the smallest thing or anything and just drag it out. You cannot put that on top of you busting me upside my damn head now. You can't put that on top of me. You disrespected. You disrespected me. Or how long do we hold on to these little good things that you do? I don't understand that. And then you twist my words saying, well, she said, I don't do it. Boy, shut up. I'm sick of it.
I never said you don't do anything. Right. You know. But this is a manipulation and control tactic, because if you are not aware of it, and if you are a woman that has a very long-suffering heart or a giving spirit, nurturing and everything else, it can be so easy to look at that and go, is that really how you feel? I'm so sorry that you feel like I don't acknowledge you. Thank you so much for taking out the trash. Thank you so much for doing the things that you should do around the house. And then all of a sudden, now all of a sudden you forgot the fact of all the 20 things that he doesn't do and he ignores on a regular basis.
Yes,
The
ma'am.
times that he's supposed to pick you up from the airport and you've been sitting there for over 2 hours waiting, although he knew what time the flight got there.
Yeah.
I'm being very specific because these are things that I and so many other people deal with, and that women deal and complain with all the time. Matter of fact, I was leaving the airport the other day. Another crew member upset. Why? Because her boyfriend's supposed to be picking her up, and now he's still an hour away. You know what time this flight landed? These are things that they do on these type of negligent men do on a regular basis. But then when you call them out on their bad behavior, then they want to gaslight you and say, "You act like I don't do anything right."
Mm-hmm.
You are listening to an abuser.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep it going.
Talking about, as opposed to talking about things that have happened in the past that we have control over. If both of you really serious about this, I think that's what we should be talking about. We need to move beyond where we are right now and fix things that we can fix. And if we know that we can fix it, then what purpose is this relationship serving for you? I think that's a question that both of you need to answer for yourself.
I answered it for myself.
That's a question that we should try to answer. What purpose?
If we keep on the same track that we're on, then I'm gonna continue to be severely unsatisfied with things that are very important to me, and vice versa. And there's always going to be this fighting between us about things, and that is not worth it.
Now, I'm going to be honest with you now, Miss Nicole. Nobody you get with will completely satisfy you, right?
There's some things you can compromise, and there's some things you can't.
True. And again, that's going to be personal, right? But I'm just trying to throw that out there, that nobody will satisfy 100% of the time. It's not possible.
I understand.
There is no such relationship.
I understand. I think it's our job to satisfy ourselves. I think it's also your job to make yourself happy. Nobody else can make you happy.
Right.
But you can have standards for what you want in a partner and what you want in a relationship. And I don't, he's told me that it messes with his self-esteem and his sense of self-worth and things like that. And it's the same thing for me. Even when we're not fighting, there are things that still happen that mess with my self-esteem and that really irritate me. And I just keep stuffing that stuff.
Like what?
Like the sarcasm and the jokes and the making fun of versus being romantic and saying sweet things and just talking to me like a lady. Shit. I should not have to be so excited about random strangers saying, "You look beautiful today. Hi, beautiful, blah, blah, blah. How's your," those type of things,
No, I don't tell you that you're beautiful, though. Are you really going to say
Yes, we have gone through this before. That's not your regular verbiage. That is not your regular verbiage.
So you're listening to an abuser.
Like I said,
you're also listening. Mm-hmm.
No,
Go
go
ahead.
Go ahead.
Yeah, you're also listening to someone who is suffering from arrested development, a king baby, a man child, a person who refuses to accept personal accountability for anything, even something as small as your woman, or I was his ex by this point, telling you that you don't tell her that she's beautiful. You not even down to something that simple, refusing to accept any personal accountability. But go ahead.
That's what I was saying. Remember, you just said this is not your regular verbiage. You're like, "I want to tell you beautiful." Okay, so what?
Right.
In the bed when we having sex, when you think it's the best place to do it? No. You said your regular verbiage. Anyone want to hear that from their partner. I don't mean like on Monday, on Christmas, on Easter, or my birthday. You know what I mean? Like on a regular. Like you said, self-esteem, they don't get it. They don't get it. But a man like him wouldn't get it.
Is it that men like that don't get it, or they just don't care?
They don't care. I'll say that. I'll take that. I'll take
Because
that.
I've gone back and forth a lot about that. Because it's like, is it that they're really that like mentally incapable of understanding these things? Are they really that like, cognitively deficient? Or is it that they get it and they really just don't give a shit? At the end of the
Right.
day, it's
That could be
ego
it.
overload.
Yeah.
I mean,
That
I
could
go back
definitely
and
be
forth
it.
about these. I do go back and forth about this.
Yeah. That could definitely be it. You know what? I think
So,
saying that they don't get it is probably giving them too much credit. So they're just gonna give a fuck. Period.
because I don't think they're as stupid as they pretend to be.
Yeah.
That's weaponizing competence too. Woo!
Uh-huh.
Girl, this last one that that I had to say goodbye to. Whenever I would use just any type of term that sounded halfway intelligent, like weaponizing competence, girl, he would stomp his feet and ball up his fist just like a toddler, throwing a tantrum and get mad, using all these Derek Jackson terms. I hate all those terms, all those
Lord, help me God.
all those $1 million words in those Derek Jackson terms. I'm this platform for Darling Nikki is for me to tell my stories because I have dated and been engaged and married to the best and the worst of them. And with all of them, there have been some commonalities that have led me to believe that, there are unicorns do exist. Sure, not all men, but the overwhelming majority of them from what I've read in statistics and from my own experience, that the overwhelming majority of them are incapable of being able to sustain and create a healthy romantic relationship. I'm done. I'm not encouraging all women to be done, but I'm saying I am. And you can come here and allow this to be your sanctuary, to know that you're not alone if you've experienced these things, to also be able to see the red flags. If you did not get to grow up in an environment that showed healthy, functional love and family systems, and you just need to see some things or see some red flags for later on, or learn some things, you can come here for all of that. You can use all of my mistakes. Now, when I say my mistakes, I will not take on their shame and their bad behavior and say that was my fault. So so guys, that's not what I'm saying. But all of these mishaps, all these perils, and all of these mistakes over these years of my life with men. And all this happened by design, but all of this stuff, use it as your own toolbox. I'll say that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I agree with that.
But your regular verbiage is hey butthead, stuff like that, like the jokes and things like that. That's your regular verbiage, and I've said it like recurringly throughout the relationship that I hate that shit. Versus, first, start with my name. And if you want to use something that I'm a lady, I like to be treated like a lady. I like to be talked to like a lady. Like, you said that you didn't want me to leave, but everything that you said and did was the exact opposite. And then you send a text saying, I'm not going to kiss your ass. It's almost as if you feel like treating me like I'm valuable to you, like you want me here is kissing my ass. I don't agree.
What? Can I please stop right there?
Girl.
These men will call it simping.
Mm-hmm.
When you actually treat a woman like a human being.
Like a woman. Yes. It's called kissing your ass. Go get the fuck.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I'm always trying to find ways to bring value to you. What can I do to serve you, help you, whatever. I'm interested in your business, all that type of stuff. Tell you every time I think you look good, I say it. After your haircuts and you put on a suit, all that type of stuff. And I don't feel like those things are reciprocated. And I need that stuff. Or I'm going to wind up just cheating again with somebody who's telling me on a regular basis giving me what I need on a verbal and emotional level. And I'm not going to say cheating again because I never cheated on you. I didn't have sex with that man. But still.
Okay. I can't tell you how many times I read and I see, and I've even experienced for myself, being in relationships where it seems like it is expected that the woman gives, and the man takes.
Girl, we, yep, absolutely. And that's like, it's okay. Like, that's how it's supposed to be. Kiss my ass. No, it's not. That's exactly the current state of relationship of what it's about. And we're just supposed to take it. Like, it's our position. What?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yep.
no.
And we're supposed to wear that mammy flag like a badge of honor.
Yes. I just, like I said, I'm always saying, I don't get it. I don't understand that part. How do men feel as though you're going to get the best of me when you just take it? But you want the best of me at all times. I got to stand 10 toes down and get the best representative at all times as you take and don't deposit. What?
Yep.
Okay.
And guys, I'll tell you his excuse for putting his hands on me and breaking my jaw and causing me to be in this position. What you're looking at in this photo is an ice pack that's designed to go around my face. That was me coming out of surgery. I don't know if that was surgery number 1 or surgery number 2. He was calling me an emotional cheater, guys. As much cheating as he was doing on me the entire relationship, I never once cheated on him. I had a friend, a good friend of mine that was in the military, and we definitely had a romantic connection, but he got deployed overseas, and I wound up taking another direction as well, and we remained friends. And he was following up with me, and I told him I was in a relationship. And then I began, and he was doing what any smart guy is going to do in his position. If he wants to know if I'm available or something, if things have changed. And in those messages, I was telling him about the current state of this relationship and how I felt about it. And we're talking. Little did I know until after that this fool, not only was he always stalking me around town and showing up places, he was also cyber stalking me, going through my messages, going through my Facebook messages, and those type of things as well. And so he lost his mind when he saw who the guy was, because in his mind, because he's got a radio station that's syndicated in 2 states. Woohoo! He's in 2 states on the radio. So in his mind, he's the biggest thing I've ever seen and come across. So when he saw this particular artist that I was having a conversation with, he was so shook, and he was so infuriated. and he was so shook because of who the guy was.
Of course he was, because he's the best thing that you can ever get.
Right. That's what I think he really genuinely thought that for some reason. He really did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it was a lot of things. Mm-hmm. And then come to find out, the guy was getting ready to do a show in our city too. So it's like, oh God, you have history with this guy, and it's him, and he's super jealous of him. And I'm breaking up with him around that same time too. That was just way too much. That was way too much.
Mm-hmm.
Not just him take accountability for the fact that you are a sorry ass person. You have treated me terribly. You have mishandled a Picasso, and I just don't want you. That was too much for his ego. Right. That was too much. I don't want you. And you've got to possibly think about seeing me with somebody else, which that never even happened. Like, to this day, me and the guy never got together. Like, we barely see each other. Like, we're just friends. Lives went to 2 different places. Right.
That's too much.
That was so, and this is and abusers do not treat you like you're a human being. You are their property. So so there's no way he's going to let somebody else play with his toys. If he can't have me, nobody will. That what he did to me was by design. And he wanted to try to ruin my face. He wanted to try to ruin me.
Right. That is crazy. He wanted to ruin the money maker. He wanted to ruin it so that nobody else would even want you.
Yep.
Because I'm the only person
Yep.
that, you know what I mean?
Yep.
I'm the best it's gonna get.
Yep.
Baby.
He was entitled to me, and he was entitled to me and no one else.
Mm-hmm.
I shouldn't even want to entertain the thought of another verbal or emotional relationship with somebody else to get what I should be getting from my relationship. Otherwise, I need to be single and just open.
So, where do we go?
I think we need to find a way to just peaceably part ways and take a lot of time and space, because I'm angry.
You're hungry.
I'm angry and I'm disappointed. And with today being the day, you know, exactly a year ago of the, I don't even know what to call it. You know, I was violated that day in more ways than one. And I don't even think I ever went through all the feelings and the emotions or even processed or even dealt with that day. Never had a chance to.
I never had a chance to by design. When I came home from the hospital, when he brought me home, I remember him saying, and he was joking, but he was dead ass, I know that I cannot leave you alone, because even if I leave you alone for a day or two, you're going to have time to think and you're going to go right to the police.
Wow.
That's what he said to me. He knew that he needed to keep me, he needed to continue to keep me consumed. He needed to continue to always hover around me and keep me under his control, not give me time to think, not give me time to process, keep love bombing me in this moment and doing everything he can and to keep me from being centered and being at peace and processing and finding that inner resolve that I needed to be able to make the best decisions for me. All of that by design. And the reason why I came up with the title Addicted to Monsters and decided to start telling that story is because this has been the pattern of my life from beginning all the way up until maybe a couple years ago. You know, always being under someone's control, under someone's thumb, never having personal autonomy, never having a sense of personal agency. And when you have been raised to always be under control, never allowed to say no, think for yourself, never having personal boundary space or protection, these are the type of relationships that continue to come your way because it is all that you know. And it is a long struggle. You know, a woman who is abused, it takes her an average of 7 to 9 tries before she is finally able to get free for herself. And a lot of those women, unfortunately, don't make it out alive or don't make it out whole, trying time after time after time.
Girl, that's deep. And that's very true.
And when I kept saying here, I don't. Oh, go ahead.
No. Go ahead.
And in this video, when I kept saying I don't know what to call it, I knew what to call it, but I was afraid to say it. Because what happens when you are talking to a person that you know is unhinged and you actually say things to their face?
Right.
And you actually when you put shame in the face of a person like this, it's like holding up a mirror and now they see what they hate. So where are they going to swing? They're going to swing at that mirror. They're going to swing at you.
Right.
And this is what I learned from a very early age. That's why I lied and said, I don't know what to call it.
Oh, we go. Yeah, this is deep. This needs to be talked about. This needs to be talked about way more.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. What a time to be alive, because it's so amazing to see more and more of us coming out and talking about it and putting
Mhm.
their shame back in their face. It's time to tell on these people. Tell on them. Tell on them, speak up, because you're speaking up for yourself. I'm speaking up for myself. I'm speaking up for my daughters. I'm speaking up for my son. I'm speaking up for my future. I'm speaking up for the other girls around me who could not, did not.
Mhm.
I'm speaking up for some people who only their blood got to cry out for them and they never got to speak, and they're in the ground.
Absolutely. Whew.
That's what you say you want, but he doesn't want that.
But I'm not responsible for what he wants. I'm responsible for what I want.
Right. True.
And I'm also responsible for what I want for them. And they have been exposed to way too much fighting.
Yeah, we talked about that. That's not healthy for the kids. It's not. And that's one of the reasons I proposed to Mr. Dre. Unfortunately, like I told you on Saturday before this happened, that it wasn't Mr. Dre's fault that we've not been able to meet. That's my fault. I told you that on Saturday. Because I feel like, there are some underlying triggers for Mr. Dre. There are some things that he himself probably doesn't even know.
I understand that
And
because
sometimes we just need to process that, even when you are not there.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to see if I can sit down together and just walk through that. Or if he wants to go find somebody that you can talk to, Mr. Gray. I think there is some underlying trigger somewhere, that you are responding to that you don't probably even know. And it could be carried over from previous relationships. Disappointment from previous relationship, how you were treated by some other females. And unconsciously, you are reacting to Miss Nicole.
I know in the beginning of the relationship, when I got reached out to by the mother of his youngest child and another person that he had a relationship with, I said a lot of things to him that were very, very unhealthy and angry. And I took responsibility for that because I should have made the decision then to just end the relationship because I did not trust him and I do believe that he was cheating on me. But instead I stayed with him and I berated him for it. And that was for a period of a couple of months. But
So in this moment, I am apologizing, and I should not be, but this is something that an abused person learns. This is something that an abused person learns how to do, especially a person who has grown up being a child who was abused and who has been repeatedly taught that if you take on some of the responsibility, if you take on some of the shame, and if you just apologize to your abuser and acquiesce and just be a good girl, then maybe some of this will go away, or some of this will be better. It'll just be easier or better for you if you just do this. So in this moment, this is what I'm doing. I never berated him. It's not berating a person who abused you by reminding them of what they did to you, by telling them that this is what they're doing and you don't like it.
I took responsibility for that and I made a decision to change. But
the change that I'm talking about here is something. How many times have you ladies heard a man keep saying, leave the past in the past and stop throwing it up in my face?
Mhm.
Stop throwing it up in my face.
Yeah.
So I'm acquiescing to that bullshit and saying I tried to change, or I tried to change, meaning I tried to just ignore your bad behavior and forgive you for it, and not hold you accountable for it.
Mm-hmm.
Just be quiet, shut up, and take it.
Basically. And that's normally how
What
it
that
goes.
was then.
You said that's what?
That's normally how it goes. Yeah.
Yep.
You just have to
That's
take
called,
it.
yep.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. That's called being his peace. That's called being his peace.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
Uh-huh. Crazy.
And what this is now, like, I just feel like you can't use that as an excuse, you know, to treat me the way that you're treating me now. And then even with that, he's never.
Trigger.
I don't think so.
The way those other people have treated him, you know, and he's reacting based on that. And that's why he needs to one-on-one take care of that. Until that is taken care of, he will continue to run into difficulty in his relationship. You know, I feel like there are some issues that have not been addressed, and those are triggers for him. And unfortunately, he's reacting to you based on that. That's what from the little story,
I believe it.
that's what I think is going on.
I believe it, and I can't do anything about.
No, you can.
Yeah.
You can. That would be what he will have to do. Just like you said, you work on your own personal stuff. He will have to work on that as well. I think it's good that we do couple session, but individually, I think we also need to do that.
Yeah, I don't.
Okay. I thought I wrote it down. You know, yeah, couple session is awesome, but individually, we still need to do things. I think, I think that will help.
Yeah, that individual work.
Are you okay,
Yeah.
Sandra? What?
So I forgive the therapist for this. And it is, I don't want to delve too much into this part, but I will say this. Too often, women are encouraged to stay. I kept saying over and over and over, I don't want this anymore. I don't want him. I am done.
Mm-hmm.
I said it over and over, and it took so much for me to be able to very clearly and eloquently state where I was, how I got there, why I don't want this anymore. I don't want this. This is healthy. We're done. I'm done. And here we are hearing another man say couples therapy, blah, blah, blah. You know, although I said, I am done. The nail needs to be in the casket. You know, when I was married to the cop, I can't tell you how many religious leaders and counselors tried to encourage me to stay with this monster. Because I'm married to him, so I made a vow to God.
Yeah.
And I need to honor my marriage to this man. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So now you're expected to put up with all the bull crap, the abuse, the disrespect, because you're married to him. But what if the expectation for him?
No, there wasn't one. You know, and here it is, a guy here that I'm not married to. But because of his position of so-called power and status and popularity, you know, it's almost as if there's some privilege to being with him, and that I should still be willing to just work on it. Because after all, there's no man that's going to completely check all of my boxes. So, you know, I'm still being encouraged to work it out with the man who damn near took my life and is still putting his hands on me.
Mm-hmm. I.e., just deal with it. Just deal with it.
Yeah, it's not safe.
It'll be okay.
It ain't safe out here.
Yeah, girl. It's pee in the water.
It ain't. It ain't. It is.
What makes you? I notice when I say some things, you know, your affect change, and I wonder what that might be. What change? When I talked about previous relationship, I noticed that your affect changed. What do you think about that?
I don't know how much it has to do with previous relationships. Yeah.
Well,
I'm trying so hard to make this work.
right. This is the deal, Mr. Dre. And this I've said even behind your back. Black male don't go for therapy, okay? But we have issues, black males, right? And not in any way to minimize what black female go through, Miss Nicole.
Understand?
Okay, but study shows out there that there is an intersectionality of gender and color for African American male that affect them more negatively than it affects African American female. Okay, now that doesn't mean that intersectionality of race and gender don't affect African American female. It does, but not at the same level that it affects African American male. And that's at least that's what the study shows. Okay, and so I'm saying this, Mr. Dre, to let you know that I recognize the difficulty in reaching out for help when we need one. I never know about your background. I never know, how you grew up, Mr. Dre. But we are products of our environment. We are. From the age of 2, Miss Nicole, we've already been exposed to some things that will go on and shape what we're going to become in life. And until those things are addressed, we will never know how they trigger some things in us. And we just notice that we are reacting. And that's why, Mr. Dre, I sincerely and respectfully propose that we need to do one-on-one. It might not be me, just find somebody you do one-on-one with. There are some issues, deep issues down there, Mr. Dre, that needs to be addressed, most especially in your relationship with women, the women that you love. You love this lady. You do love her. I have seen it. I have seen it commit pain. And then, but when you are triggered, you treat her like she doesn't mean anything to you. Where do you think that is coming from? It's coming from somewhere. I'm sorry, that's the person I need to pick up. Hey bros, you say your mouth be like that. Macron be like 5 minutes. Yeah. Okay. Alright. Yeah, sorry about that.
That is the face. That is a face that has been loved, huh? Look at that.
Right.
We need to do that here.
I'm stressed.
That's the face. That's the face of someone that is really, really loved.
Girl, boy, go to hell. Honey, some more excuses for him. No, you're just a monster. Period.
Yeah. Yeah, they get coddled. They get coddled.
I'm just frustrated.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. No, go ahead. I'm listening.
Because a big part of me.
We don't trust, all this process, but it works. It works. And so I respectfully, Mr. Dre, recommend that. I respectfully recommend that. Ms. Nicole, how do you feel? I know it's supposed to be one-on-one session, but I appreciate the fact that you gave Mr. Dre all this, because this is.
I didn't give him shit. He took it.
I feel a little stressed.
This is hard for both of you. And I recognize that, and I see that here.
I'm stressed. I'm just frustrated because a big part of me feels angry at myself because at the beginning of the relationship, there were some signs there that we should have either ended it or slowed down. We didn't want the same things on things that were really important, and I went ahead and moved forward anyway because I felt like, either maybe I'll learn to be okay with it or it'll change, and that's not okay. And so kind of angry with myself, and I owe you an apology for that because you said several times about social media, if this isn't what you want, then we shouldn't go any further, and I should have agreed not to go further. And other things, just other things that I want, and we didn't see eye to eye.
I was gonna show you a tip option first, and then it'll take your card. Yeah. Oh no.
Yeah.
I think I changed the dial.
You get ready to go board up?
There you go. 650.
Hello.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Time to load
I
up?
was getting coffee, girl.
It was all good. Yeah. So I'm still apologizing to him here. And the only person I should be apologizing to is myself.
I agree with that.
Apologizing to my abuser.
Imagine that.
Eye on it. And then the first time we broke up, it was because of the issues with Shamitra and Kendra, and to this day I'm still very uncertain that you were 100% honest with me, and if I believe that you were unfaithful to me or that you were not honest with me about the situation, I should have stood my ground and just ended it then. We could have just continued as friends, or well, maybe not friends if I felt like you were cheating on me, but there could have been more.
So when you see signs that a guy is not a good boyfriend for you, and it's not because of incompatibility, it's because he is not an honorable person, he is deceiving you, he is not your friend either.
Nope.
He's not your friend. There is no be friends with someone who betrayed you. If the relationship needs to be over because they wronged you, you are not friends. Now, there are times when okay, we're just not compatible. We're not meant to be together, but we're friends because you're just not compatible. But if you're on a fundamental level, if you're not compatible, or when it comes to a morality clash, or the most typical thing is that, they're just a filthy, mangy mutt, a dirty, dirty peen because they're community peen. There's no, we could just move on as friends. He's not your friend. He's cheating on you. He's lying and deceiving you. He's not your friend. Hard truths that at that time I was not ready to accept.
Yep. 100%. I agree with all that. No, ma'am. Insane.
It makes me think about this relationship, and guys will tell you who they are in the very beginning.
Yes,
and
they will.
They present it. They present it in a way that can be so flowery that if you are not cunning, wise as a serpent, and you got to take those rose-colored glasses off. Ooh, he looks so good. Ooh, he smells good. Ooh, the sex is good. And you got to look at the history. They don't like for you to look at their history. Leave the past in the past. That is a form of control. Look at their past. Look at their patterns.
Yeah.
With this last relationship, he told me exactly who he was and what his patterns are.
Yeah.
And what I could expect from him. And that's exactly what happened. He left his wife and his family for the side chick. And when he got with the side chick and she started making him actually be a family man, be responsible, pay the bills, be a husband, then he checked out on her, and being the cowardly person that he is, he let her leave so that he could be the victim. And then he continued to repeat this as long as it's fun and there's no responsibility involved, it's good. But when you look at the pattern, then he says, that's who I used to be. Well, survey says
Right. Yeah, but
because
it's
he
easy
came
that
came
way.
because you came
Playing the
over here and did
victim
the
is
same
easy.
thing. Yes,
Exactly.
yes, that's it. Exactly. Being the victim is always the easy one,
It's
not,
always
you know,
easy, the easy way out. So why wouldn't you choose that way?
yeah,
Especially as a punk.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
girl. Whew.
Yeah. This abuser that you're listening to, DJ D Chappelle, um, at the very beginning of our relationship, uh, I I thought that it was going to be a good thing because we knew each other from college. Here's a guy who's on the radio. He's the great. He's got a good reputation, all that stuff. And he always presented himself to be, yes, gentlemanly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let's talk about it later, honey. One of our first encounters right before we started dating, outside of, the school and the friend thing was I forgot. I was getting ready to head back home from a gig and we were just talking to each other and my tire blew. Oh, that's funny. That that makes me think about that Legion story. But that's actually how we started dating. He came out and he fixed my tire and paid for something else, whatever the stuff was. And I'm like, oh wow, he's a good guy. But they love being able to be the hero in the moment, but it is for their
Mm-hmm.
advantage. It's for their
Mm-hmm.
advantage, not yours.
Absolutely it
So he
is.
sees, he saw my distress of, this husband who would not divorce me and who was making life really hard for me. He wouldn't have anything to do with the kids. He would try to, a lot of things just happening and here he is, a friend from college, and this is his moment to swoop in. And in the beginning, be the hero. And as long as it's fun, it was great. But then once there started to be boundaries and rules,
It's the boundaries for me.
yeah.
It's the boundaries. Okay, yeah, like you said, it's fun and it's cute. Oh, okay, this and that. But then when it become real, it's what I have to understand. What is that about? Because it's not, believe me, honey, you ain't the first person, won't be the last woman who has this issue
Mm-hmm.
that when it comes time to be the
Mm-hmm.
man, to set the boundaries, you have a standard. Once they say you have a
Mm-hmm.
standard, oh baby, that's the
How
problem.
dare you?
How
Yep.
dare
How
you?
dare you?
How dare you not just take me as I am? All this
Yep.
bullshit I come with. How dare you want
Mm-hmm.
more? How dare you
Yep.
expect more?
Mm-hmm.
No, I
You're
showed you what I
you're
was at the
supposed.
beginning.
Mm-hmm.
No, you didn't. No, you showed me a whole new person, another person.
Yeah.
You showed me the mask. You showed me the introductory.
Yep.
Girl, bye.
The
But
representative.
right. But then we're expected to bring you everything at the gate because you quick to say, "Oh, that's not who she was when I met her," or "She changed," or "This and that." Or, "She used to do X, Y, Z," all this crap. Girl, please. Mm-mm. I'm just glad you got away from that. That's it.
I had so much to get away from. I had so much. It was a cycle. It was a cycle of abuse. And from each person to each person to each
Mm-hmm.
person, it was a cycle that just didn't seem like it was going to stop. And
Right.
I had to get away from everything that looked like what my life was then. And I had to get
Mm-hmm.
away from the environment that just continued to breed more and more and more abuse. And I needed to get
Mm.
away and get settled with myself and
Right.
really, and you can't heal in the same place that you were broken. I don't think you can.
Yes, ma'am. That is a law. It has to be written somewhere. You cannot.
Hmm.
It's not possible. I don't care what you say. It's not possible, girl.
You know,
But this
and
was
even
good.
coming,
Whew,
yeah, girls, almost done. Let
girl,
me, I'm at 50.
you need more of this.
Mm.
You need a series, girl. Good
Yep.
night.
So the series has come out. The series is called Addicted to Monsters, and it is on Darling Nikki. And there's so much to talk about. There's so much to unpack. And as I unpack it, it's really cool because it's good for my healing, and it's good to see my growth from these places to now. And it's given me so much more additional peace and resolve to be in a safe space to speak my truth and not give a fuck about other people's feelings and all these other people and how it affects them. They didn't give a shit about how it affected me. and how it subsequently affected my children. They didn't give a damn about me. I'm not holding space for none of them anymore. I'm holding space for me and mine. And in the process, I'm able to get more of my freedom, and other people can get theirs too. Hey, JT, I miss you too, girl. She got booted off. All right, let me play these last couple of minutes. Compared to our relationship, when we wouldn't be in this situation, we probably would be in a much more peaceful place. Had I been more honest with myself and you, and when I established my boundaries and I shared what my boundaries were, had I stuck to them. And this is a personal problem that I have to figure out how to deal with.
Well, again, we can undo the past, right? Or we can learn from the past.
Yeah.
The more you dwell on the past, the more sorrowful you will be. And these are things you don't have control.
I'll go back a little bit.
That therapist's gonna piss me off, but go ahead.
That I have to figure out how to deal with.
Well, again, we can undo the past, right? Or we can learn from the past. You know?
Yeah.
The more you dwell on the past, the more sorrowful you will be. And these are things you don't have control over. It's in the past. But how do we move past that? What lesson do you take from that? And that's how we become better people. You see what? Not that I'm asking you to answer. I'm just saying. You see what I mean? And that's how we become better. You can sit down here and blame yourself. What do you think is going to change?
Nothing.
Nothing will change. This is the lesson that we take from situations that makes it change. And so I'm gonna just think that we should stop here. If that is okay.
Yeah, I gotta go to church.
And Miss Nicole, can you take a time to reflect? Mr. Drake, reflect too. I heard you, Miss Nicole. I heard everything you said. But just reflect. Just think. Reflect. Mr. Drake, reflect too. Reflect. And then, if it's okay with you, would you want him to come next week? If that is okay with you.
I don't think that's a good idea right now.
Okay. Is it okay, because you are my client, and I'm going to ask you, is it okay if I meet with him separately? And again, like I told you, I am not billing your time on that. Okay? It is just me and him talking.
That's fine. Yeah.
And I'm going to meet with him. Okay, just to let you know. Because I won't do anything behind your back. Because you're my client. Let's do that. Okay, Mr. Gray, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you gonna be okay? Yeah.
Now he gets to be the victim. Are you gonna be okay? Are you gonna be okay?
Do you? Girl, I was just about to say that.
Mm-hmm.
I was just about to say, girl, okay, so now are you okay? Number one. And number two, you have said several times, I don't think that's a good idea. I don't want this no more. All that. And then he asks you, is it okay if he come back to meet with us next week? Hell the fuck no. How many times have you said that? No, he cannot come back. Well, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay. And you tell me, Nicole, if you need to talk, please go.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, I need a minute, because I know, I'm not trying to be insulting, but I cannot accept any gifts.
What?
I cannot accept any gifts.
Just take it, okay?
You hear the fake, you hear the crying.
Girl, I'm dead. I'm gonna cry too then. Girl, that fake the victim. It's easier
Like
to
now,
be the victim.
yeah. So he held on to that jewelry the whole time. And now another last ditch effort. I forgot what it was. A Michael Kors like watch or something, which first of all, it's Michael Kors. Like anybody can get Michael Kors. Stop it. It was jewelry. Yeah. He was trying to give me another gift. He was trying to give me jewelry. And now he's crying because I won't accept it.
Get out.
This is what happened last year. Like, after everything happened and after a big breakup.
I bought that a while ago. I just didn't know when the hell to give it to you, and I figured you're not going to talk to me. It's bad enough you don't want to talk to me, you don't have nothing to do with me. I give you something and you just go.
Like, I just had a meeting with my pastor about this today.
Did I say that you have to be with me because I gave that to you?
Like, it's really not good for me. And I know we don't have time to talk about it now, so I can talk about it next week.
You lost the other one and you said...
I know, but it got stolen last year. And this is the same thing.
Oh, that's right. So he got me a Michael Kors watch a year prior. And I was recording I was on the set for some tattoo show. And somebody was going through all the bags in one of the dressing rooms and stealing stuff, and my watch got stolen. So I told him as soon as it happened, he never replaced it, which no big deal. That's not my favorite brand anyway. My favorite brand happens to be Coach for lots of reasons. But he never replaced it. So here it is over a year later, and now you trying to put this raggedy ass watch in my face.
Girl.
But this is all typical narcissistic abuse. Yes. And the thing that infuriated him the most about me, which is why he put his hands on me, but I heard he didn't put his hands on the other girls, is because the mother chicks were more his league. Okay. So he would give them a gift. Yes. And then they fall right back in line. Matter of fact, whenever he would joke about checking his traps. And that's what he would call going to be around all his other females. So they would stay in the trap, which I thought that was a drug colloquialism, but he seemed to use it as in talking about his chicks. And he would call, yams. So they would stay in the trap. Anytime they started to get in their head, he could give them, some raggedy Michael Kors or I don't know, some fake Apple watches because yeah, I mean, it's not raggedy. I'm not say that, but it's never been my preference, never. And it's like, and then one time he hit me with a fake Apple watch. I'm like, get the fuck, but he could do that with these little girls and these old broads too, and do the song and a dance. Oh, and then also get on the radio and say something that only they would know, which it don't mean shit because you're still not really like shouting them out. And all of those little things mean something to those chicks, and that would keep them under submission. So they never really put the pressure or the squeeze on him and really got under his skin. He never had to work for them. Therefore, he never really felt compelled to put his hands on them. But it was me that he wanted to try to treat like a little punching bag, because why won't I just, why won't I just stay in line?
Right. Right. Eat the cake, anime. Exactly.
Right.
And that happened last year. No, it does not have the same meaning. No, not right now. It doesn't. My watch got stolen last year, and there's been over a year that you could have replaced it. And the fact that but all of a sudden you're able to do it now.
for TJ Maxx or
Girl, you
Ross and
can't
find
find one. Girl, come on, Michael Kors watch anywhere. I'm dead.
That's just like last year after everything happened, and then you started, overflowing my account with money. All of a sudden, you have all this money to give me.
I told you
When
last
after
year.
my jaw was broke, but I'm not finished. But when my when my utilities got cut off and I had to boil water for baths for me and my kids, all that time you couldn't find that money. But all of a sudden, because my jaw's broke and I'm in the hospital, now all of a sudden I'm getting hundreds of dollars in my bank account. It doesn't add up. It doesn't add up.
I gave you $100 last year.
No, you gave me several hundred.
After your jaw got broken?
Yes,
No, I didn't
several
give you
hundred.
700.
Oh yes, and I kept.
And you see how he keeps saying after your jaw got broke? He's not, but what he
Mm-hmm.
should be saying is after I broke your jaw.
Mm-hmm. After your jaw got broke, like you fell on that bitch and broke it yourself. But go ahead.
This
Girl.
is literally what he lied and told the world, and all of those dumbasses like ate it up. And there's the majority of those assholes to this day believe that it was an accident and something's wrong with me. And they can all kiss my ass. Okay, they can all kiss my ass forever for that.
Up the screenshots. You sent me several
Send me
hundred.
the screen. Please show
No,
me
I don't want to.
screenshots.
I don't want to. But the thing is,
all I gave you was $100 for the gig that you were gonna miss. That's all I had.
but
You can ask Erica.
But here's the deal, you're able to sacrifice during those times, but when we're together, you don't make those same sacrifices. That's
I bought
not
that
okay to me.
already.
Okay, let's do this because I have to leave.
I understand.
And please, I don't want to think I'm rushing you because it's just without to the kiss.
I understand.
I can't tell Miss Nikki what to do. I can't.
Let's give these things.
And it's not healthy also. It's not healthy for me. When you break up with somebody, you don't have anything that's going to just keep them of all of that stuff, and especially anything new. That's not healthy for me. So, I mean, I appreciate the gesture and thank you, but I cannot accept it. Come on.
So what you don't get to hear after this is he still, although, he popped up, and within the first 2 minutes he said, I'm just going to come here and say my piece and I'm going to let y'all have your little therapy meeting. Here we are 59 minutes later. It was a whole nother hour outside in the parking lot. The therapist leaves. I'm trying to get in the car and get to church, and my children are there, mind you. My children are like in little kids' room, so I'm putting my children in my SUV. I'm trying to get to church. I'm trying to get to Bible study still, and he keeps me hostage outside of my SUV, literally creating a scene. Now, this is also manipulation for me and my children because my children are seeing him crying. He wouldn't get off of me. He wouldn't let me go. He would not let me leave. We're the only ones in the parking lot. Like literally, he would not take his hands off of me and he would not let me leave until I agreed to take him back. On his knees, crying, please don't do me like this. I'm begging you. But what would have happened if I did not, at least in word, agree to take him back?
Right.
That's what I got to think about in that moment. Nobody else is there. So we're still not done. I've said so many times, you disrespect me, you abuse me, you dishonor me. This is unhealthy. I don't want it anymore. I'm done. And you still. So now we're outside. You're literally on your knees. You're putting your arms around me. You got your arms. You're crying and in front of my children. And I'm begging you, just give me one more chance to show you that I could be the man that you want me to be. That's passive aggressive.
Ooh, that's too much.
I knew at that moment I was not going to survive another year between that and between the ex-husband that would only see his children if he could come to my house to see them. and harass me for sex and stalk me, drive by my house, blah, blah, blah. Wouldn't do anything for them. It was so much. And who did I have to turn to? Here's something that I think all of us women have to tell each other on repeat. Nobody's coming to save you. Nobody's coming to save you.
No, ma'am.
You got to save yourself.
Yep.
I knew that I needed to take advantage of the ex-husband's negligence, or the soon to be, because I wound up finally being able to divorce him. And I needed to also do something to placate this guy and make him feel comfortable enough to where if I leave, he still feels like he has me, just so I can get the hell away from him as fast as I can. And before he realizes it, me be so far outside of his grasp. And that's what I did.
All that, but you have to do all that, girl.
And thankfully for me, his punk ass is afraid of planes. He's terrified of He's terrified of it. So I knew he wasn't coming to Jersey.
Right. We. That's crazy. That is crazy.
Some people say, why don't you leave? Look at the lengths I had to go to try to be able to emancipate myself. I had to be willing to leave everything and everyone behind. That is not easy. Even if those everythings and everyone is really not that great, it's all you have.
That's it.
And be willing to be be willing to be completely, totally on my own.
Yeah. Get that. So I get it. And it's not, that shit will damn near have you in a crazy house, especially when you have children.
Yeah.
Who are looking to you for everything, looking up to you for everything. They know no better. But that's what they're supposed to do. Look to mommy for everything.
Yeah.
And when you're looking at them knowing you don't know where our next fucking meal coming from, where your next pair of shoes, where our next whatever.
All of that.
Yeah. That's strength. That's strength we don't talk about.
No.
All we see is, she was a survivor, and but how the strength? Let's talk about the strength it took to even go through that and then survive after that. Let's talk about the after.
Yeah.
Okay. The mental, girl. That's crazy.
Taking care of your mental when you look around and you don't see anyone validating your pain, validating your abuse.
Yeah.
And having your back. And that's another thing. These narcissistic abusers, they know how to pick them. These men knew. That man knew. He knew that he could do whatever he wanted to do to me and there would be no recourse.
Well,
the ex-husband knew that he could bring his pedophilic tendencies around to me, because it's nothing short of a pedophile, the way that he operates, and even the age gap. He's 21 years older than me. He knew that he could come around and be as disgusting as he was, even in front of the men and my family, and that they would still shake his hand and call him brother.
Yeah, they know. Like you said, they pick them. I mean, they yes.
And in this world that we live in, whenever things happen to women, especially Black women, who gets blamed at the end of the day? She does.
She does, yeah.
There's no accountability for these men who violate not only these women, although they're supposed to protect, provide, lead, and all that stuff. The blame still goes on her. Never mind the fact that the burden.
Go ahead. I'm listening. No, I'm listening.
Never mind that the work and the burden and everything is left on her, for her and the children. The blame and the shame and everything else gets to get thrown on her.
Yep. Absolutely.
It is not safe in these co-ed streets, especially for Black women. And when I was younger, I'd love to tell myself, that's not me. Just because it happened to you, and that naivety, uh, you got to pay for that.
Yep. But yeah, this is something that you should teach a class on, girl, because it's never ending. And I feel so bad for these little young girls out here who think it's the end all be all.
Yeah.
Who put up with these guys like they have no other choice, girl.
Because there seems to still be this it's really I'm trying to think, it's maniacal to me to be able to go through all this stuff and still be like, well, but I got a man, to go through all of this but still feel like it's you've got some sort of championship ring because you got a man. I think that mindset was put on us women by design as well.
Oh no. Oh no. Yeah, I guess so. But when you know better, you do better. And the women that made it out, they had to learn the hard way, but they out. And you hate to see somebody else going through even, I've seen people go through like the worst of the worst. And it's like, and you want to ask yourself, well, what makes you think that you stand because of what? And you have all these questions on the outside, but you never know what somebody's going through on the inside. Their life might be at stake trying to get out. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, you have to tell him, just get him up off of you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Girl.
I didn't see a lot of these women, or I didn't know about these women because I was always told, and a lot of us are told, don't listen to those bitter old ladies. They're just jealous of you. And that's by design as well, because those are the ones that you need to be listening to because they have some lessons that could save your life, save your finances, save your health,
no,
your
real.
Peace, all of that. These
honey,
so-called
and save
bitter
your freedom before you go to jail for killing somebody, honey.
Okay. Right.
Wow. This has been something, Nicole, honey. We need this. Child, we need this, honey. This series is going to be something.
Yep. When I first moved away and the very first time I shared the video, he has a friend who's an attorney there. His name is Jason Lowe, and he's a very popular hip hop attorney there. He's actually the one that convinced me to write a letter to give to the judge to dismiss, to recant my request for the restraining order, and to put in writing so that we could be back together again, to put in writing that I do not believe that there was any malicious intent and that I do believe it was an accident. He convinced me to write that letter, to come to his office and give me that letter to protect his friend. And that was game too, because he kept saying to me, my client, he just seems to really love you and care for you. And I don't know why. And it was like, you know what, he really loves me. This was an accident. Let me put this behind us so we can just be together again. And that's why they like being with young bitches, as he liked to call them. That's why they like being with, because you can't pull no game like that on no grown woman who knows better.
Nope, not at all.
And that's why they tell you to stay away from them. That's why they tell you to stay away from them so-called bitter, jealous old women. Because if you keep the community the community of women, because we are the community that they try to keep broken up, it's so that they can stay dominating and doing all the despicable things that they do to women. And as long as we're separate, we don't have any defense. We don't have much defense against that.
Agreed.
But anyway, when I moved here, the first time I put the video out and I started actually saying, this is what happened to me, I'm not going to be quiet anymore, he started sending me Facebook messages threatening to sue me if I don't take the video down. He sent me 4 or 5 messages from 4 or 5 different Facebook accounts saying, you know, if you don't cease and desist, we will sue you if you don't take the video down.
Okay. And go ahead.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh well, it's out there now. Now this is in Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Is he still a DJ or whatever he's doing?
You know, I have no idea. When I moved in 2019, I never looked back. I saw him one other time actually because he was holding my things hostage. I had some things that were still in his garage. And a year or 2 later, I wound up going back there for a summer vacation for my kids. Well, we went to Texas, but I stopped in Oklahoma and I surprised him. I said, are you home? And he said, yes. And I had my sister-in-law take me and I said, open the garage. I'm outside your house. I'm coming to get my things. And it was definitely a bold move. I wanted my stuff and my children's stuff and some pretty. And when he opened the garage, he looked like he saw a ghost. The look of fear on his face was priceless. And my sister-in-law.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, my sister-in-law. We both went in. We got our stuff and we left. And I think it was the surprise of it all that worked in my favor. There was no time to process, no time to nothing. I just said, I'm coming. I just want my stuff. And it was in the garage. I got it. And that was it. Never looked back. And never went back either. Like never, I don't ever desire to go back to that place ever. You know.
I only ask that because, you know, in situations like this, the woman uproots her life, changes her whole everything.
Yep.
And his life just move on like nothing happened.
Yes. And as far as I know,
his job, he keeps his social status, he keeps his friends.
Yes.
Nothing stops.
Yep.
And he disrupt our entire everything, including our kids' life, okay? Because they're affected also. And nothing
Absolutely
happens.
They are. Absolutely they are. My children had to come home to a mom who was in the hospital. You know, my friends had to go get my kids from school and they had to take care of them while I was in the hospital. And then when I came home from the hospital, you know, I had to decide, what am I going to tell my children? Because they see that.
That's rude, okay?
Okay, sorry. But are you done?
No, I'm not done.
So, because is somebody here?
No, my friend's mom wanted to talk.
All right, I'll talk with her when I'm done, okay?
When will you be done?
I'll let you know. Close my door. That extra energy. Girl, he came in here and took my AirPod out my ear. Really?
That is too funny. Come on now. He's like, Mom, I got something to say.
Right. Like, listen, rude. But that's true. They get to move on life as usual. And that is by design. That is the privilege of patriarchy. That they can mess around and do whatever they want to do. And they don't have to bear the burden. They don't have to live with the consequences of their actions. Because women are not human to these type of people. We are receptacles. That's it. We are for their use. And if we reflect back onto society or onto them anything that's bad in them, then they get to discard us.
Oh yeah.
Easy. And so, but time's up for all that bullshit. You know, that's why we are in a time of truth. We are in a time of FAFO. We are in the day of fuck around and find out. And I'm loving it. Because it's gone on for way too long. Yep. It's gone on for way too long. You know, you as man being able to do whatever you want to do and then mess around everywhere and then run off. And then the women involved having to clean up your mess.
Yeah.
And you thinking you can come in and destroy and do everything that you want to do and disrupt and destroy and everything else at your whim or at your will. And we're supposed to just take it and then clean it up and then just say, well, boys will be boys, men will be men. and not have any
Yes.
rules and regulations for you. And this starts early. Like, what happens when you're
It
doing
does.
sandcastles? Playing a group of kids playing sandcastles. The girls are putting together the sandcastles or putting together Legos. What does the boy do? Just for fun, for no damn reason, but he just enjoys just running through and tearing it up and fucking it up. Just for
Mm-hmm.
fun. It's like, it's almost innate. Nobody
Yeah.
taught him how to be like that. Just disruptor and a destroyer and ha ha ha. And what do we do? And then clean it and put it, and then just build it back up again.
And build it back up. Yep.
Or,
Girl.
laugh or cry or whatever. But then, who is the one that that's usually having to pick up the pieces, build it back up, put it back together again.
Of course we are. Girl.
Yeah.
It's a lot to unpack and pack up and unpack.
Yeah. All of these things, all of these perils in my life, anytime my life has suffered, it has been at the hands of a man. Even the biggest challenge I'm experiencing right now, it took me over 2 years to get a divorce from that cop because he refused to divorce me. And I finally had to get a default judgment. He refused to come to court. He refused to go to parenting classes. When I left him, he refused to have anything to do with his 2 children that he put in me. And he told me that he put them in me to try to keep me with him.
Girl.
Here it is, almost 10 years later. Now he is in court. And I can't believe the courts are even entertaining this shit, trying to take full custody, trying to take my children from me right now. Children that he doesn't know, children that he's never, ever, ever been bothered to raise or have anything to do with. Children that were just tools, they were weapons for him. But because he looked up and he saw that I am doing better without him despite him, and from what I hear, I'm doing better than him, now he's trying to extend his abuse to the courts and trying to take my babies from me and actually telling them that I took them from him. And actually saying in the streets that I somehow kidnapped my own children and I divorced him. The divorce was a trick. He didn't know he was really divorced, and all these things but they get to say, their story. And because they say it, and especially if you're a man of prominence, if you're a cop, if you're on the radio, if you're on the stage, if you're a preacher, you get to say it. And because you said it, because you got 2 balls in a bat and a microphone, now your word is law.
Yep.
And as women, we've been taught to be polite, to be quiet, let God fight your battles and all this other bullshit. No, it's fuck around and find out time now, because I'm tired.
That's the truth.
I'm tired.
That's it. And you should be.
We're gonna tell the truth. The whole truth, nothing but the truth.
Girl, this makes no sense. But yeah, honey, this is good stuff. This is good stuff, Nicole. You're onto something.
Yes.
You're onto something. Once people get a hold of this, the stories are just gonna start flowing.
Yep, and that's what I wanted to do.
Because I can't say there's no, okay, let me not say that. There's there's not enough safe spaces. How about that? There's not enough safe spaces without judgment and without it being, well, what did you do? What's the whole story? Like, this is the whole story. What are you talking about? You know what I mean? So yeah, this is good. This is very appreciated.
Yeah. JT said we've seen it too many times to keep writing off warnings from other women as them being jealous and bitter. They're trying to save us. That's facts. That's facts. I wish that I had known better. One of my best friends to this day is the cop ex-husband's first wife. She tried to warn me. But because she was a good, I don't know, 10, maybe 15 years older than me, and she was closer to his age, he kept saying to me, and I didn't know her. All I knew was his story. And I was still I was young and impressionable, and I only knew what I knew, which wasn't much. I only knew what I was taught, which wasn't much about this, nothing about this. He kept saying to me, he never wanted me to get to know her. And he kept saying to me that she stole his daughter. She wouldn't let him see his daughter. So, and he was crying, just like this mother sucker in the video. We just heard all them fake tears and the crying. Abusers they don't know how they do it, but they can pull out them Academy Award tears. He would cry, have me praying for him, and in all of that was to get you emotionally kind of in. And he would say to me, whenever you get to meet her, you'll see what I'm talking about. She's just bitter because she's old and she's not young like you. She's just bitter. She's going to be jealous of you because I moved on. I still look good and she don't have nobody. So she's bitter and lonely. Don't listen to her. So he was indoctrinating me to believe that this woman was going to be evil, mean, all that stuff, jealous of me because I'm the new wife. AKA new victim.
Like you had a prize, girl.
Yeah, he had me indoctrinated. So one of the very first times I got to talk to her on the phone, she sounded exactly what he said. Angry, bitter, jealous. Now, knowing what I know now, she sounded like that because she was a reflection of all the shit he had put her through. It had nothing to do with me. And everything she said, everything she said to him and everything she said he was going to do, honey, he did it and more. She had it down to the T. She gave me the blueprint. Well, since you with this mother sucker, here's the ride that you about to be in for.
Wow.
Buckle up, bitch.
Basically.
She was like, I'm sorry for you and buckle up, bitch.
Damn. That's crazy. But that's how we are. We can laugh about it now because of you. You know where you was back then. But that's how it happened. Somebody else tell you exactly what's gonna happen. You don't believe because you can't see it because you've been treated another way thus far. But baby,
yes. And that's the other lie, again, saying, let the past be the past. First of all, a big part of education is studying history. But only with these ass dusty Negroes do you ever hear let the past be the past, leave the past alone. You literally, tax dollars and tuition is paid for you to study history for a reason. But we let these people put their dirty peens in us, and then and that nasty cheese like somehow infest all the way up to our brain and spirit. And when it comes to these people, and when it comes to these mangy, when it comes to these mangy mutts, this is the only time that history all of a sudden doesn't matter and don't count and shouldn't be studied.
Yep. Girl. It's all bad.
Matter of fact, even when you go to court, what's the first thing the judge is going to look at before the judge even looks and talks at you? Before you even walk in the courtroom for whatever it is, they're going to look at the history first.
Yep.
Oh God,
baby.
I'm laughing at my former self. I'm
You know what?
Yeah.
You have to.
I'm glad I'm alive to laugh.
Crazy. Exactly.
Yeah.
To keep from going crazy. As to, oh my God, I can't believe I've survived that. You gotta laugh at that shit. You gotta laugh.
Yep. And I, the worst thing that we could do, one of the worst things that we could do for ourselves and our daughters and our nieces and all of that, our little sisters, is to remain silent.
I agree. I agree.
I had to have a real hard conversation with my youngest two after I saw that their father was trying to drag me through court and take them from me, and and they need to know the facts. There's nothing noble about what he's doing. You don't know these children at all.
Mm-hmm.
One of them has special needs, takes 3 medications a day, is in weekly therapy, and I by myself have done all this work over the years to help him overcome some of his challenges. And here it is, you don't know anything because you never cared to, and you're only trying to rip them from me because you want to hurt me because you are mad.
So this is about me.
Mm-hmm.
This is about
It's always
you.
been.
But because that you're going to hurt my kids, I need to know,
Yep.
how does that sound right to any judge? How does that
They don't
even
care.
come across the desk as sounding right? Special need child, you haven't even been in their life. You're trying to hurt me, but it's going to hurt the kids. And that's okay. Come on, let's go to court. Come on, let's go to court.
They don't give a shit. How many times have you looked up and seen fathers who have hurt their children just to hurt the mom? And that is the same in this situation, which is why I married him in 2012 and I moved out in 2013, because he was hurting my oldest child just to try to control me.
And now we're in court.
And
the
when
same guy, we're in court. Okay, cool.
Yep. Yep.
Makes no
He
sense.
was putting his hands on our little girls in ways that were inappropriate. And this wasn't just what was coming out of my mouth. This is what was coming from a daycare that started noticing his own flesh and blood, her behavior, whenever the very few times he would actually pick them up for a day or two. The very few. And I mean, I'm counting less than 10 times ever. And once that happened and I started seeing a pattern, I was like, you know what? Go ahead and call me evil. I'm shutting it down. They will not be with you alone anymore. Fight me.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I put all of that in writing. I put all of that in black and white, and I presented it to the court. And I served him with it, so he read it. He never even bothered to come to court to argue it because it was the truth. You are a danger to me and our children. So the fact that they're actually hearing this bullshit, and it's been in court now for over a year, and they're even entertaining him asking for custody of children.
Yeah, that's
that there's been very, but this is the privilege of patriarchy. And then again, this is a man with a badge and a gun. So automatically that means he's a man of honor.
So he's still a cop right now?
He's still a cop.
Oh,
but they protect their own. The very first place that he worked as a cop, one of his officer friends, that officer's wife reached out to me because she wanted me to know why they all got fired from the first university that he was a cop at. And she said that it was several of them that were having sex with students, including my husband. So they got released.
Wow.
I still have the messages in my inbox, and I am happy to show the receipts, but I don't think this really matters in court. But if my attorney asks for it, I'll give it to her. Of when we took some pictures together, and I put them on my Facebook, and a girl from that college saw the photo and she inboxed me and said, "I did not know that Officer Miles was your husband. I am so sorry." And then she went on to tell me about her relationship with him, and that when she tried to break it off, he kept stalking her, would not leave her alone. Which is the same thing he did to me.
Girl.
But my dumb ass went ahead and married him, and then it just got worse.
And you live to tell the story. That's all that's what we have to dwell on right now, unfortunately. But the story got to be told. That girl.
Yeah. And I shouldn't be so hard on myself, because I was who I was, and I was doing the best I could with the tools that I had.
Very true.
So I try to remind myself to give myself grace and stop being as angry as I was, because all of that was not my fault.
Yeah. And when you know better, you do better. So we're on the do better part, the do better side. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, girl. Ooh, this is a lot.
Yeah, man.
This is a lot. So how often will you be doing this? Because I got to put this on my calendar.
You know what? That's a good
I'm gonna be
question.
doing
I'm gonna chat with you and a few other ladies about it because I'd like to go live maybe twice a month.
okay.
With the way our schedules go. Whew,
Yeah, yeah,
trying to make it a set schedule is difficult.
it really
Um,
is.
but going live and having these conversations live, there's something happens in these settings that doesn't happen when it's pre-recorded.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's
You're
a
right.
whole nother vibe.
Mm-hmm.
But
It is. I
yeah,
agree.
I encourage everyone who's listening now and later, tell your stories, tell on these people. Stop withholding the consequences. And here's the other thing. When you withhold the consequences from people, that's really not love for you or them. The only way that they can even grow is if they're forced to be. If they have
Ooh.
to be forced to be held accountable, and that gives them an opportunity to either decide to double down on their derelict behavior or to decide, okay, this is my moment where I'm going to have an ego death and I'm going to face myself and actually decide to elevate. But they have to be given the opportunity to do that. Get out of their way, stop cleaning up their messes, leave them with the foolishness that they created, and let them fix it for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Or let them hang themselves with it. Either way it goes, when they get out of the way,
Yep.
let their own consequences deal with them, because all of ours, we're left to have to deal with ours, are we not?
Pretty much. Pretty much. Absolutely.
And we figured it out. And I'm talking to Black women. We figured it out. We didn't decide to continue to remain blaming everything else.
Yep.
And who has been beaten down the most in society? Who's been beaten down more in society than us? But
Yep.
still, no matter what the circumstances are, a lot of us decide, the majority of us decide, we're going to educate ourselves, we're going to thrive, we're going to figure it out, we're going to be magical, and we're going to soar.
No, because there's no choice, but yeah.
Yep, exactly, because we don't have no damn choice. So they don't need to have a choice either.
Yep.
Especially these mammies that keep protecting their sons.
Mm-hmm.
They're also to blame for a lot of this shit that I went through and women like me went through. Because you want to coddle your sons instead of holding them accountable.
Mm-hmm.
And then they wind up coming and ruining lots of women's lives and creating more, bastard children that have to deal with poverty and things like that and have to suffer, the basically having to be raised by one instead of two, not having enough finances and everything else. It's a terrible system that they can, like, it's this terrible cycle that these mammies create as well, leaving us to have to deal with their raggedy behind sons.
I agree.
Oof, girl, I could go on and on.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna jump off here because I'm here at work. I'm about to get on the plane.
Girl, safe
this is
travels.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, we need to talk outside of this.
Yeah. All right, I'm here. Yes,
okay.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna see what you're doing later tonight, and see
All
if
right,
I can
cool.
jump back. We can have a call just to see, where we can go.
Yeah, got you. Good night, Chica, and safe travels. And good night, everybody else. Thank you for being here.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye.